Poisonrana.
Hello.
Hello.
Braden Herrington here with Davie Portman for Poisonrana Live. You found us in whatever podcast app you are choosing to use, Spotify, Apple. Hit that follow, hit that subscribe. And of course, we are
live on youtube.com/@PoisonRanaPod. YouTube room. How are we doing?
Hello. Yes, it's Sunday, September 21st, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Is there anything to talk about this week? Kind of a light week?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I guess we could start off by talking about that the CMLL show on Friday, and then I don't think there's much more apart from that.
Yeah, true.
Wait, shit! I forgot to watch the CMLL show on Friday, so
I actually didn't watch it. So I guess
that's the show.
That I really do want to watch that. So
yeah, me too.
Possibly by Tuesday on Up Next, we'll have something to talk about. With that. But yes, this was a very busy weekend for wrestling fans and just wrestling in general. We're going to go through everything from this weekend: Wrestlepalooza and All Out. ESPN debut for WWE. Don't call it fake. It's just scripted. Is definitely something I don't think I hear Triple H say too often, but we're going to talk about scripted sports and entertainment.
Yes,
plus
because sport is entertainment.
Sports,
at the end of the day.
I think he said sports is entertainment, and I'm like,
which is true. Yes,
yeah, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes this show here, Poisonrana, is entertainment. Sometimes it's very, very small points of time, but we are. And we're here to talk about all the wrestling. We are based in the lovely city of Toronto, the 6th, the dot. So we were blessed by AEW with All Out as they took over the Scotiabank Arena yesterday. And I say day because it was a daytime pay-per-view, a 3 p.m. start time. And we went to the show. We went to the presser after. And then at some point between then and now, we have watched Wrestlepalooza. So we're going to talk about both shows today and everything going on from the show and coming out of the show and in between. But if you are listening to this and you don't know who we are, you should search us in your socials, your podcast app, like I said, at PoisonranaPod on Instagram. We don't just do podcasts, but we're in this city of Toronto. We like to do some parties. And I got to shout out everyone who showed up to our tailgate All Out party yesterday at Gabby's, King Street West, Toronto. What a turnout, and love seeing old friends, new friends, and beyond. So always a good time, and shout out to the Postmarks, the Frogs, and the friends out there.
Absolutely. Like we might have new listeners today. We met a bunch of people yesterday at Gabby's. Shout out Gabby's for letting us host. And yeah, we met a bunch of you yesterday. And if you're checking us out for the first time, hello. Welcome. I first of all want to give a big shout out to Joe from Niagara, who gave up his prize from the raffle. He won a pair of tickets to see Demand Lucha this coming Thursday at Parkdale Hall. I will certainly be there. Very much looking forward to that. Big Demand Lucha fan. And if you don't have your tickets yet, what are you waiting for? But he was unable to attend, so he gave up his tickets and said, all I want you to do is just shout me out. So thank you, Joe, from Niagara, for giving that prize back. And yeah, it was awesome meeting you. It was awesome meeting a bunch of you yesterday at Gabby's. We had an awesome turnout.
Absolutely. Yeah. We had post-wrestling people. We had Poisonrana friends. We had people who just were walking by and saw your chalkboard being like, oh, there's wrestling music playing. Oh, this looks like the place to be. Once again, we are the only people in the city doing cool wrestling stuff. There was nowhere else. There was some Wrestlepalooza watch parties later on, but nowhere else. First of all, I guess the time change really did. We thought it would mess us up, but people were there even before the bar opened, ready to party. So it was a long day, but a fun day. We of course had your All Out wrestling cocktail special menu. Shout out the classic Poisonrana, the timeless twist, or the Proto Star. If you had listened to our All In interviews with Tony Storm and Fletcher, they have made it to the drink menu, the ever so popular Tiger Driver 91.
I did realize, however, I didn't list the ingredient of orange juice in the Timeless Twist. So might have been a bit of a funky drink if anyone did happen to order that, because it was missing an ingredient. But yeah, Tiger Driver 91, very popular.
Very dangerous, of course. Yes, only done in the right spots in the match, in the bar. But your new concoction, the pancakes and pile drivers, which was a very interesting drink. So what is this for people who want to know?
So this was a half Canadian rye whiskey, half butter ripple liqueur, some butterscotch, chased with orange juice and some bacon. It's called a breakfast shot usually, but you get sort of this almost like maple syrupiness from the butterscotch with the whiskey, and then the orange juice gives you that like fresh burst that it's breakfast time, and then the bacon at the end, just that saltiness mixed with this sort of sweet syrupiness. It just tastes like you've had pancakes and bacon for breakfast. It's pretty delightful.
It literally tastes like you're eating like a whole pancake breakfast. I know you're not a fan, but the pickleback is a popular shot where you do a shot of whiskey and then a shot of pickle juice, and people say it tastes like eating pickle chips. And that's exactly what this did. The whiskey, the orange juice, and the bacon, it all in one, like boom, boom, boom. It almost makes you feel like you're actually eating pancake breakfast. So a great shot there. Some people were brave enough to have it. Shout out all the postmarks as well as the post wrestling community. We had some very familiar faces. Mike Murray, WH Park, Eric Marcotte fought Jack finally. Okay, well, they didn't fight, but they hugged it out. They got to meet in person. We know that they are actually two different people in the flesh. We have found that out. We also had Bruce show up. We had, what did I say, WH Park. We had John Pollock. We had a ton of
Boris
people.
Was there as well.
Boris as well. We had so many people
on the show recently. Yeah.
And like seeing and hearing so many people who traveled in for this show, actually pretty crazy. Like having people travel from not just other places of Canada, but the US or even a bunch of people from London traveling.
A lot of UK travel.
Not the real London, not London, Ontario, we'll get to, but London, England. Like there was a bunch of people flying from all over the place for AEW. So really cool to see. And again, we love
people in costume as well. We had Don Callis and Big Stoke attending the pre-party.
Yes, I do love the wrestling fit. And I was really surprised and really happy that no one, at least at our party, no one stank. No one was stinky. So
I did. Did you see that Reddit thread?
I did. Yes. You could have seen me reapplying deodorant just as we were leaving to go to the venue. And someone asked me, "What are you doing over there?" I said, "I'm doing what I hope everyone going to this wrestling event does. And that's putting on deodorant." And I personally didn't encounter it this time, because usually we're pretty quick to not enjoy that. But I was okay, maybe because we were in like maybe a nicer media section, but apparently the stink was real.
I saw this Reddit post from a couple who went and bought 4 seats, which are usually pretty expensive, and they ended up having to move to restricted view seats because the smell was that bad. Come on, guys. I know I'm not I know it's not you guys. I know you all smell fucking wonderful. But yeah, bear in mind, showering and deodorant isn't enough. You also do need to wear clean clothes as well.
Yes, this is true. But showers are your friend, and so is deodorant. There's no shame in keeping deodorant on you. Whether you keep a purse, a bag, a man bag, whatever, a championship fanny pack like I do sometimes, pocket. Just don't you stink sometimes? I mean, the summer's almost over. We're gonna, I guess, go away from that. But the stink is timeless. The stink is forever. But no stinking up the joint here from us. And I gotta thank everyone out there. We had Joe Poe, John Pollock, Post Wrestling. It was a fun time, and I'm sure the next time a big wrestling event comes to the city, we'll have to do another get together as well. I know, Davie, me and you were looking at possibly going down for Full Gear in November down in Newark or New York area. So if you're listening, you're planning or thinking of going to that, let us know, because maybe we'll do a pre-little hangout or after the show or something like that. But I love the daytime pay-per-views. Got to kick that off with just it still drained me. It still like wiped me out completely because the show we got there at 2:15 and we were there. I mean, obviously we stayed for the presser, which is a lot longer than normal people, but we didn't leave till like 9:30 or something like that.
I think the show was 4 hours 55 minutes, and when you factor in as well people going to the pre-show, which for the first time ever live on TV, they had the pre-show with 3 matches. So you're talking almost 6 hours, which I'll give them credit. I thought it kind of was paced well. I thought it did move at a good pace. It did kind of. I've been at shorter shows that have felt longer, but certainly I felt, especially during the main event, which was excellent, but especially during the main event when Justin Roberts said 30 minutes gone, 30 minutes remaining, there was this kind of collective gasp in the crowd and like some whispering and muttering with people turning to each other going, fuck, are they doing an hour? Are they going Broadway with this? Right. And I think people were feeling the fatigue there. Now, shout out the Scotiabank Arena, a sensible arena, which actually does serve coffee. It does have a Tim Hortons. That is helpful. So many of these arenas, you cannot get caffeinated drinks in, which is just bonkers when you're putting on shows of this length. But yeah, it was another long AEW show.
Yeah, you can find Red Bulls at these arenas, but for coffee people, like to
not
have
always.
options.
I've been to some where they haven't even had Red Bulls, which is crazy.
It really, like, my only critique of these going to these AEW shows, really, like the broken record for me is I do think it's too long. I know you're more than getting your money's worth, and I'm sure that some people maybe groan or eye roll that like that's a critique. It's too long. It is like when you go to these things, you're sitting there for 5 hours straight, meaning in 5 hours, you probably have to go to the washroom once or twice, maybe 10 times if you're Davie Portman. But you also have to go to get something to drink, get something to eat, just stretch your leg. Like sitting for 5 hours straight is a pretty daunting task. And I am a sicko. I am an obsessed, silly wrestling fan, and I'll go to these shows. But my one thing for years now has been WWE. They do the 3 hours, but in that it's like half of it's commercials and barely any actual wrestling on it. Usually you feel like, oh, this is dragged on, and I only really saw like 4 matches. Whereas AEW, you get the quality, you get the content. It's totally worth the money, but you do feel like by the end of that main event, after drinking a large coffee, I'm still like fighting. I want to be invested in this. And, I don't think I was alone. I think the Scotiabank was such a loud crowd. And by the main event, you saw people were kind of tired, even if it started at 3 p.m. instead of 8 p.m. So my only one big critique off the top is still that they don't need to go 5 hours every time. Ricochet and the DOA dudes didn't need to be on this pay-per-view. At some point, you got to pick and choose because people leave, people get tired, and you want to support and be invested. Like I've been waiting for that main event match for so long. And by the time the bell rings, I'm like, man, I've been sitting in this chair for 4 hours.
I think there's a sweet spot. I think for AEW, I'd be fine with 4 hours. I think 4 hours is still a long time, but I think they do move at such a pace and the quality is good, where they can keep me invested for 4 hours. Maybe 4 hours with an overrun, 4 hours, 7 minutes, something like that. As soon as you're pushing 5, it's a lot to ask for. And this isn't like it's All In. It's not their like biggest show of the year. I think when it is WrestleMania or something like that, there is some justification of maybe going a little longer than usual. And the kind of thought of, I want to get as many people on this card as possible. For a show like this, it doesn't need to go 5. I do assume a lot of the reason of that was to the final hour to go head to head with the first hour of WWE, to go head to head with Brock Lesnar and John Cena. And I wonder, if that show wasn't going ahead, this would have been probably a 7 p.m. start, right? But I agree. I think 5 hours is asking a lot, especially for those who are, getting in for the pre-show and making sure they're sat and settled for the pre-show. Some people are going to be there for like 6.5 hours in this arena.
Yeah, that's just my like one honest critique. I love the content they put out. I love pro wrestling. I love watching this stuff, but there is a tipping point as a fan. Like we showed up 2:15, and what if you were in there before 2 watching the dark matches, watching the pre-show? You're there for like 6 hours of just watching wrestling. That's half like that's a long time. It's such a long time. And I know that there's great stuff there, but it can be a bit much for people. You would see people like yawning and nodding off and stuff when they're fighting to be invested. Like the main event was a big draw for a lot of people, and you could see people were like fighting, and then talking to not just friends after the show, but hearing people and talking to other people. That's a big one that comes out of it, is like, man, it's not even that they go 5 hours because they only have a pay-per-view every 3 months. They do this 5-hour show every month almost, it seems. So it is a lot. And I'm coming from someone who really just, I love this shit, but if you're killing my energy, because it's like, okay, I love The Irishman, but I don't like to go back and rewatch that one just because it's too damn long. I'll put on a solid Goodfellas 3 hours, something like that, but 5 hours is a whole lot to take in. And I love the show, don't get me wrong, 2 thumbs up. But if I had to say, like, that beats me up. And that's someone who had coffee, plenty of it, and energy drinks. And I was still like, oh boy.
So let's give some quick thoughts on the pre-show. We missed, I think, the first match, but we got in for Shibata, Daniel Garcia. Garcia now like full member of the Death Riders in his black shorts. Matt Menard was on commentary. Obviously, we were watching live, so we're not quite sure what was being said there. But I don't think it's going to be too long before we see Garcia take out Matt Menard. But yeah, a solid win for Garcia in this new persona, using his sort of curb stomp finish that he's been doing.
Yeah, the Red Death Rider, I guess, is what his moniker. I like the new look for him. I think it's been a long time coming that we try something different with Garcia. We've always been a long-time fan, so hopefully this is in the right direction for him. But
I'm also pretty sure, Braden, that you got inducted into the frat house by Preston Vance.
Yes, I guess in a weird little way. I am a big fan of the frat house, and when their music hit, you could see a lot of people look to their friends, look to the side, like, who is this? Who are these people? Oh, wait, they're a frat house. How come half of them look like they're 40? Anyways, I love these guys. They're hilarious. And Preston Vance comes out, and I don't know what the pose is that they do or something, but I must have like put my hand in the air, and he managed to look over at the exact time I did that, and he realized, you're the only guy here who's reacting to us. So he started, I don't know, fist bumping with me.
He was pointing you out. He was like, yeah you. Awesome.
You're in the frat house.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm a pledge.
I think so. Yeah, you're gonna have to. What do they do? Like wash the toilets with a toothbrush and all of that kind of
some Van Wilder
weird stuff to like fully be a member of the frat house.
But I was not only thrilled to see the frat house, but Kyle O'Reilly getting on the show, Canadian talent there, and Hologram. Cool to see the Hologram come live in the flesh. He is, in fact, not an actual hologram. I've learned that now since seeing him live. But yeah, another fun match for the pre-show. Sent the crowd home happy with those fraternity guys getting beat up. Yeah.
and then we had the tailgate brawl, the 8-woman tag match. Anything goes. A lot of fun. The baby faces of Willow, Mina Shirakawa, Queen Aminata, and Harley Cameron winning. But sorry,
yeah, I was going to say greatest faction of all time, possibly.
Maybe.
Harley, Mina, Amanita, and Willow. Like Aminata, sorry, Willow. Yeah, this was the greatest team I've ever. Like Survivor Series could never, War Games could never. Look at these women; they were killing each other with the coolers and the barbecue. Yeah, them dancing around after. This already put me in a great mood for this pay-per-view. But yeah, love it. Love the matching gear as well. For it looked like cookout tailgate. Yeah, like they had the grills and everything. It was pretty fun.
But shall we get into the main show, kicking things off with Cope and Cage and Cope taking on FTR.
Yes, we've been calling them CNC, Canadian Club here, and your CNC shot on our AEW and themed menu was literally just a shot of CNC.
Yeah.
People were asking. So wait, I don't understand. What's the CNC? Literally,
it's
says
just CNC.
It's just a shot of CNC. But Canadian club, Canadian content, Cope and Cage, or Cage and Cope. We got some more Canadian content though, because they start the show with Copeland and Christian arriving, and he's looking at the Maple Leaf memorabilia on the walls, and then it goes, Wendell Clark, and then realizes that Wendell Clark is in the flesh here. Maple Leaf Toronto legend here. Cope has said that this is his favorite hockey player of all time, and then here he is cheering him on for his match at the Scotiabank. And then if that's not enough, they walk into Bubbles, who possibly got one of the biggest reactions of the entire night, showing how popular Trailer Park Boys still is. He later would go into the seats, and he was watching the show, not far from in front of us down there, but people were cheering for him pretty much all night. And then that turned into the Green Bastard. So I loved how Christian is no-selling Wendell Clark and Bubbles here. And then we got some swearing. Which I couldn't believe, like the way Trailer Park Boys are supposed to be presented. So the Green Bastard and Edge and Christian, this is a great way to kick things off. I thought, like the Canadians in the crowd definitely liked these deep cuts, I think.
Yeah, I think you could tell even from the pre that this crowd were going to be hot. It's the said in the press conference, it's the highest sold All Out of all time, biggest gate for All Out of all time. And yeah, these Canadian crowds certainly do show up, and kicking things off with Cope and Christian, a good sing song to get things started with Metalingus, I think was the right move. I think if this wasn't main eventing the show, it should maybe be on at the beginning. Thought it was a good, solid match. All of this is going off memory. I haven't had the chance to watch any of this on TV yet, which I normally like to, but with Wrestlepalooza as well. But yeah, I enjoyed the match. I feel there's still a bit more in the tank. Like I felt the finish was a little abrupt with the spear, but with the post-match angle with Beth Phoenix running out and getting laid out, it seems that this feud will continue and we will get another one. So I was happy with the match, but not necessarily fully satisfied. I'll put it that way.
I definitely think we were getting another one. I know just the other day we were previewing the show. You were like, Edge and Christian have to win. And I said, I think it would be interesting if FTR somehow win and then you continue it on. But instead, they just did the same thing by having them win, but FTR instantly getting the heat back. Thus, I imagine we go to some sort of gimmick match. Obviously, everyone just assumed that this would be some sort of ladder or TLC, the specialty of CNC. So I think we're eventually going to go get there. I mean, having Beth get the pile driver is a big point in that direction. I think that they're going to go to a rematch. I mean, that this
2 out of 3 falls or no DQ or something.
Yeah. Eventually, who knows? We could get the titles back into this program too if FTR were maybe get those from Brodito down the line or something. But I thought this was a fun match. They did everything that I think it kind of exceeded my expectations. They used some bells and whistles with Beth and stuff like that, but some really great kickouts, some really great moves. Obviously, John Cena and his retirement tour doing these shout out to Edge just like a week or so ago. So here we have Edge in the same arena that these two I have watched live have some pretty epic encounters. Doing the 5-knuckle shuffle and the FU, a great way to his friend.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, like
awesome.
so epic there. So in this arena, like they've had, that TLC match was just crazy. So that was a cool shout out, but some great kickouts, the Shatter Machine, etc. So it left me wanting more, but it still hit on almost, I think, a little over delivered of maybe what I was expecting for some reason. So the crowd were like really into the theme songs, obviously with Edge and Christian, but CNC, I should say. But going forward, I want, you said 2 out of 3 falls, and then maybe escalate that to a TLC or something like that. Because I know these.
Do like 3 stages of hell style. You could do a regular tag, no DQ, and then a ladder match or something like that. I think this feud lends itself to it. Yeah, I liked all the callbacks. You had the 3D in the match. You had an attempt at a twist of fate and swanton bomb.
Right.
A lot of callbacks, but yeah, it was fun. I still feel there's just a little bit more to be had from this.
I think there's more to come with this feud for sure.
Then we go to a returning Eddie Kingston to take on Big Bill. Tony Khan made a point in the presser. He's like, you all thought Eddie needed to be a surprise to get a good reaction. Well, it sounded like he had a pretty good reaction tonight. I think both can be true as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was good seeing Eddie back. I like Eddie. I like Eddie's promos, especially. I don't want to sound mean, but I felt a part way through this match, I'm like, oh yeah, it's Eddie Kingston again. Like I didn't overly get into this. I respect it. I think Big Bill's been putting in good work as well. So I was like, yeah, you both maybe deserve this moment, but this was on the lower point of the card for me.
I do agree. I'm really happy that Eddie's come back. I think he's definitely like some heart and soul of AEW that the fans can really get behind. But I can't lie and say I didn't head scratch at Big Bill calling Eddie Kingston out just seemingly out of nowhere. It's basically like, hey, you're from New York. Well, also I am. And my area of New York, Queens, is better than Yonkers. And this, it's like, okay. And we're going to fight in Toronto. I just think like we were at All In. You could hear people in Texas cheering for Eddie to show up in the Death Rider stuff. Now they kind of he's just back and he's cleared, and Big Bill is the first one to call him out. So yeah, I did think this was kind of weird that this was on this show, but it's great to have Eddie back. I think he could be a heavy hitter on return. It wasn't the most exciting match, but at least it got people hyped for him coming back. So I'm not sure where we go with him, whether he slots into like a TNT title or some sort of juicy feud or something in there. I mean,
but the easiest thing would be to have him with the Death Riders, right? Like that.
But then they didn't do that. So it's like they had him come back.
Not yet, but maybe moving on after this.
Like Mox is having his new Death Riders, right? With Garcia. I don't know if there's any chance Eddie would join that. He's just such a genuine.
I don't think joining them, but I think as a foe for them.
He had the epic Claudio sucks eggs shirt on as well. So maybe we go back to a one-on-one with him. But
yeah, I can see him being like cutting a promo on Wednesday. Like, now I've taken care of that business. Now it's the important stuff. Like, John Moxley, what the fuck have you been doing since I've been away? And fuck you, Claudio, and get right back into that. We then went to a tax and tables match, or tables and tax. And you knew it was going to get bloody as MJF coming out all in white. I actually think this might have been my favorite match on the show. It was definitely up there for me. I had a lot of fun with this. And we've seen tax in matches before, but we've never really seen a tax match where right from the beginning, it's just the whole ring is covered in thumbtacks. Bryce, the referee, is wearing almost like gardener gloves, like white gardener gloves to make the counts, because there's just tacks everywhere. I thought this was so much fun, and I'm really happy they gave the win to Mark Briscoe. I think it was needed at this stage. He's lost far too many of these big matches. I had a great time with this match.
I really did too. You know, Mark Briscoe has really like become a awesome character in 2025 with AEW. They've done such a good job. Obviously, he's helped enhance a lot of talent, just like MJF, the whole all-in casino thing. But I think giving him a big win here is really good. And, you know, I would go even further, and you could do a whole TV thing for like a week or two. Give him a title shot against Hangman. Obviously doesn't need to win, but like the whole story was that MJF stole that contract from him and everything. MJF still has the contract, but Mark got the win here. MJF is on some crazy run. I don't think we're talking. He doesn't get enough praise, to be completely honest. Like, this guy wrestled Friday night in Mexico, which again, haven't watched it yet, but people online, people we've talked to are praising this Mystico match from CMLL. And then he flies to Toronto to do this match. And then it looks like he's flying to do like movies and all sorts of stuff. So this guy
got married.
He just got married to someone from
like a week ago
from Toronto. So, you know, shout out Pickering. So like the guy is killing it this year. One of my favorite wrestlers this year is MJF. He's doing the most. And I don't know if he's getting enough credit. This match was really good. It was super bloody. He unfortunately got a lot of blood on like his crotch area. I think it was from Mark Briscoe. So it looked like it was a little bit of the Shark Week going on there, but this was so much fun.
You were losing your mind at the thumbtacks in the head, both of them. It was clearer on Briscoe because he's got a shaved head and you could see these tacks stuck in it. But even MJF, it looked like his hair had been like stapled to his head. It looked crazy.
Wasn't that what Turkey was for? Isn't that what everyone keeps joking about? People's trips to Turkey and all that. Yes. I think his hair looks great. And I was in shock to see tacks inside there. You could see in the back of even MJF, his hair. Yeah. But as a guy who shaves his head, Briscoe's head is shaved. And you could see they were just indented in this dude's head. And anyone we all have heads. And you could just feel that must have absolutely sucked. But all the power to these two guys for doing such a ridiculous gimmick and match. But, I really did get into this and I forgot how good it was of just all the violence. And you got to see the photo of Bryce's boots after the match. They're just completely covered in tacks. I wonder how many exact tacks were used in this. But where would you go with MJF following this? He might be off TV for a little bit, but
I mean, he's still got that contract, right? I'm surprised. I'm surprised we haven't had the contract involved in the match. Like, could you have Briscoe could these two have one more match on a Dynamite where Briscoe goes, I beat you, put your contract on the line for that title shot. Maybe we go one more of that. But yeah, I mean, I think especially with so many people being out right now, we might be going to that Hangman MJF rematch sooner rather than later. Because who would you say are Hangman's other opponents? Well, I mean, Takeshita and Okada are like two big names, but they seem tied up with each other.
Yeah.
Like, do you have like a one-off like Bobby Lashley title chase or something like I'm trying to think of the top names who are around at the moment aside from MJF, and there aren't like clear names coming to my mind.
Like I threw out Mark Briscoe should face Hangman on like a Dynamite or something, but I'm wondering is it too weird to go to Hangman, Briscoe, MJF for like a pay-per-view match? Yeah, just
it's a way of prolonging for sure. You could do that at Wrestle Dream, and then Full Gear you could do Hangman MJF. Then you could hope by the new year that some people are back from injury. You could do that Kenny match if you wanted to.
Right. What, Kenny Hangman?
Yeah.
Oh, I wish. I could totally see that one more time. I think if MJF were to say, next pay-per-view, I'm cashing it, Full Gear, New Jersey, I'm cashing in. And then, I don't know, Mark Briscoe talks to Tony Khan and he's like, well, he beat you. So actually, I'm going to enter him in the match too. Or I don't know, something along those lines. But, and then imagine Mark Briscoe winning the AEW World title, changing the game. But I don't know. I want Hangman to keep going as champ into the new year, but I can't quite figure out what other viable opponents right now, juicy opponents, because I think they got away with this Fletcher he's not ready story, but we're kind of starting from scratch now unless you go back to MJF. So I'm not quite sure who that next person is to step up for that, but I'm sure it'll be good content. But I'm sure they got some things announced. But I love this match. MJF and Briscoe went out there and killed each other, and man, MJF loves to bleed. Both of these guys love to bleed, but loved it.
Now, no disrespect to the next six men, but we knew it was going to be a long show, and we did need to stretch our legs, have a pee, get some food, and that's what was this six-man tag between the Hurt Syndicate and the Demand. I did catch a lot of this on the video screens outside. From what I could see, this was a lot of the Demand, which is Ricochet and GOA, isolating MVP, not letting Shelton and Bobby get involved too much, and ultimately picking up the win over MVP, but kind of putting this new unit over quite strong. I do think these guys have a bit of an uphill battle before they're going to start turning heads, but I guess putting them over the Hurt Syndicate is a move in the right direction if you're trying to establish these guys.
Yeah, that's a crazy push. I mean, Hurt Syndicate are easily one of the most over acts in AEW. At least the theme song alone is, and that helps. But I think that's a bold move to have them win. Definitely didn't expect that. And kind of hearing in the press conference after Ricochet being like, hey, I didn't forget about them punking me out and everything. So the story is kind of ongoing from before, but I imagine this feud, this rivalry isn't necessarily over with, but I don't know. I think I much would have preferred. I think it would have been a bigger thing. And again, I know they're trying to get over the tag behind Ricochet, and the Demand is not the greatest name either. Don't like
what
that.
Is it? This is the pose.
There's only one Demand, and it's Demand Lucha in Toronto, Parkdale. I like Ricochet a lot, and I think he's great at this heel Ricochet character. And I don't know. I just almost don't like the pairing with these guys. I know it's kind of early, but already I'm just like, And I didn't get a chance to watch this back, but I did go back and watch some of the match highlights just on their YouTube before recording. And yeah, he did some funny stuff when he hyped up his chest and stuff. But overall, I don't know if this necessarily needed to be on the show. And going back to, it should have just been Ricochet versus MVP one-on-one, because then maybe showing him beat MVP, like, again, they're trying to get these guys over. But I don't know. This act isn't necessarily working yet, but that's what we were all saying about Ricochet first coming in to AEW, so maybe give it some time and they'll find their own.
Yeah, I think GOA, because they've been around now in AEW for quite a while, but they were never like debuted strong. You know, they were a Ring of Honor act who occasionally were on Dynamite, and you didn't know a whole lot about them apart from their two pretty big blokes who can throw people around.
Right.
And even pairing them with Ricochet, it's not like we've seen personality coming out of them. Like, Ricochet certainly found his personality in AEW.
Yeah.
Maybe we need a bit more. Hear these guys talk a bit. I don't know what it is, but I think they're good. I think they're fine, but there's nothing that really gravitates me towards them. So
I agree.
Maybe over time they'll find something, but I think something needs to change a bit, whether it's their look or just, you know, I imagine partnering Ricochet with the Guns or something like that. The Guns are probably no better in ring than these two, but at least there's some personality and some fun to be had. And I think we need to get a bit of that out of these guys.
I get it, because he wants like big heavies,
muscle,
right? Like he's the high flying heel, so it does kind of, I guess, work. But yeah, so far it's like they're trying to make it happen, and I don't know if it's. I've been loving Ricochet's run, so I'd rather just see more singles stuff with him, but I guess we need trios people, so sure.
We then went to Mercedes Moné taking on Riho for the TBS Championship. Mercedes having gone to the local male strip club for her entrance this time round.
Is this Remington's or that's
Remington's? I think so. Yeah, something like that. Or what is it, like House on a Wednesday or whatever? I don't know.
Whose house?
But yeah, she had a bunch of these guys topless, sporting her titles.
Just objectifying men, man.
Just objectifying.
Come
men.
on.
Yes. And yeah, kind of how I usually feel about a Riho match. Like, I forget how good she is. She impresses. It was a good match. And then she'll probably disappear from TV, and I won't think about this match ever again. But I thought for what it was great. It was a good match between the two.
You know, I love Mercedes in 2025. She's really come around. She's had a great run with this character. And I'm sure she's still got her critics, but I think watching her a lot this year, she's really impressed. Riho is someone like the OG Joshi from AEW. So to have her come against Mercedes with, I know, her love for Joshi wrestling and stuff, is probably a bit of a dream match here for her, low key. But I thought this was really good. They had some great action. You know, both are really tiny. And we were saying going into this, like, usually whoever's facing these two are usually the more dominant, powerful one, but they're about the same size. So it was probably Mercedes with the size advantage here. But the only thing is no one expected Riho to win this. And I think that's always the kind of the thing when she comes back and they try to reheat her up and stuff. But at the end of the day, we got a pretty fun match out of it. And going forward, I don't know where we go with Mercedes now that we have another new women's champion. I guess the heel run with this TBS title will be the long run here with the title. I'm also impressed with how many times she can come up with entrances where different people are holding all those title belts. That just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Like, every time she's wrestling on AEW pay-per-view, she's got some sort of new title, whether it's like, I don't know, does she have any indie Ontario titles. She's got England.
I don't think an Ontario
different
one. No.
Countries.
Has she got any Canadian title?
Yeah, interesting. Maybe we got to get her over at one of these companies and get one. But yeah, I've been loving the Mercedes run, and I think next is kind of what I was saying about Hangman is we need a juicy like feud and story with her, and I'm not quite sure who's ready to step into that yet, but we shall see.
We move on to Kazuchika Okada versus Konosuke Takeshita and Mascara Dorada for the AEW Unified Championship.
What a match. Holy shit-toe. Like this was crazy. I mean, I had the prayer circle up since All Out was announced for Takeshita versus Okada for Toronto. I was like, please make this happen, wrestling gods. TK, book it. And he did. And then he's like, hey, but I'm going to add Mascara Dorada, which I'm like, but then it's also not upset by that because that dude's awesome. And he proved it in this match. I think this was probably my match of the night. Maybe this or the main event, but this was just nonstop. I got the teases, I should say, of Takeshita and Okada with them going at it and then entering the lucha in there. It made for just nonstop action of just like 20 minutes or something, like 21 minutes on the dot of just like go, 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 go. And then it totally leaves you wanting the singles of Takeshita and Okada. And I imagine we go to Wrestle Dream with that singles match there. But Takeshita,
they've very heavily teased at this point, and Takeshita, it seems like he's on his way out of the Don Callis family as well.
Absolutely.
Definitely leaning more babyface.
But
I assume that's Wrestle Dream.
That's got to be it. The Takeshita now turning face is a big move here. And if anyone should be the guy to take this title, the Triple Crown title thing from Okada, it should be Takeshita to build him up even more. I mean, Takeshita's got even a bigger plate coming into the new year with potentially main eventing Wrestle Kingdom, depending on whatever happens with him and Zach and stuff like that. But I'm wondering if we get this match again at the Dome in Tokyo. I'm wondering if Okada might go back on his word and maybe go back and wrestle. I mean, if Naito can go back to New Japan, it seems maybe Okada will. And if these two can wrestle, like I can't wait for this match. Selfishly, we're booking to go to Full Gear. I'm like, fuck. They come here, they don't do the singles, and then we don't go to Wrestle Dream, and that's where they do it. I really want to see this match. Takeshita is my ace right now. I fucking bought his book in Japan. I don't even speak Japanese. I'm going to use a Google translator to read this thing. But I'm so upset because it looked like he hung out with our boy Damien from Fucked Up yesterday in the city. So I was like, because he had interviewed him for the show The Wrestlers all those years ago. So super cool, big if true. But yeah, loved this match. Like this was, if the only gripe is this match didn't get enough time, cut the Ricochet match. Just give these guys another 20 minutes. But holy shit.
I thought this was the right length. I didn't need much more from this. I am very trepidatious with the Okada these days. I try not to get my hopes up too much because I don't think he's been the Okada of old. I wasn't particularly blown away with the All-In match with Kenny. I thought the moment and the spectacle was cool, but the match itself, I thought there were glimpses of the real Okada here. I thought there were some really cool moments between the three of them, and especially both Okada and Takeshita just being such a great base for Dorada. I thought, crazy. This was definitely at the top for me. But I might have enjoyed that tax match maybe a bit more.
That Dorada guy he's out of this world. Like this is Grand Metalik, right?
Yes.
Still waiting on that documentary, right, Davie?
Yeah. Unfortunately, we got a Liv Morgan doc and not a
we had a fight
Grand
on not a fight,
doc.
a civil argument on a show where I think they were promoting Liv Morgan doc on the WWE Network, and I don't know why, but I was like, "Where's my Grand Metalik doc?" And you laughed at me, but look, I still stand. I want my Mascara Dorada match. No, I love this. This dude is awesome. Like he was doing some shit I've never seen, and I thought Okada and Takeshita were great bases for him. But I walked by Takeshita last night and I got giddy, man. He's my favorite guy to watch. So I'm really hoping we get that Okada Takeshita banger, maybe a series potentially in the next few months or pay-per-view cycles. And maybe even Wrestle Kingdom, but a boy can dream. But yeah, this was up there for me. This one was like, all right, I got my money's worth from this match where these three just went out and impressed. Very, very much so. So great match. Maybe we'll be talking about it. There's been a few good matches this year, but this one coming up to something we watched live, I didn't expect to like it as much as I did.
Then we had the coffin match. Darby Allin taking on John Moxley. As we thought, was pretty violent, pretty bloody. Darby getting a bit of his own back with the fork to the ear of Moxley this time. Definitely had a bit of problems with the main coffin, kind of the hinges being broken quite early on, and you could see both guys trying to work around that. But this led to the return of I didn't know who this guy was to start with.
Did you say it was Tom Hardy?
I was like, no,
Tom Holland?
I thought, is that Tom Lawler? And you were like, is that Tom Hardy? I'm like, this could have been Josh Groban. Like, I had no idea who this guy was. And it was Pac, and someone had a haircut.
Wow. Yeah. The little troll from underneath the bridge has returned. I did not know who this was for a good solid bunch of seconds, and it didn't help that you're like, is that Tom Lawler? And then I said out loud, Tom Hardy, and then the person shout out Simon Miller from What Culture, who was sat next to us the whole show. What a gem, what a great human. And then so you say out loud to me, you say Tom Lawler, but my brain hears Tom Hardy. So then I say Tom Hardy, and then it's a series of broken telephone, because I'm pretty sure our friend Simon Miller there was like, did you say Tom Holland? And then we're all like, wait, who is this? And then he's like, oh, wait, it's Neville. Yeah, it's Pac. We're like, oh, shit. Okay. So he cut his hair. Looks like a footy player now. Just looks like someone who's going to piss off a referee. But I'm cool with this. Cool to see him back. Sucks for Darby Allin here, I guess. But yes, Pac with a haircut and some new kick pads, it looks like. But this match was violent. You had the fork and everything. It was pretty chaotic. Maybe I think we just had the fatigue of violence, especially even not just at All In, but the tax match earlier in the night, that it can kind of like blend together of who was doing stuff. But there was obviously some crazy stuff in this match. But I know what you mean. It almost felt like this match could have main evented. Yeah.
You know? Like, I think it was built up to that level where I think had Hangman not have main evented the last pay-per-view, I think there could be an argument to put this on last. And as crazy as some of the stuff they did, we still had a ladder match to go, and we still had a tax match. And I maybe felt the violence didn't get to the level it could, considering it's these two.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I think obviously we're going to go towards he then set him on. Darby then set Moxley on fire and then drove away. So either we're getting some sort of inferno match or an attempt at the exploding barbed wire death match.
Right. Yes, because Darby set Mox on fire afterwards. Right.
Yes. So obviously we're going to go towards some sort of even bigger, more dangerous gimmick match between these guys. And Mox did the barbed wire thing before, but we could do something along those lines. Maybe blood and guts. You have Pac. I mean, Darby's going to want some dramas with him too there. And the Death Rider stuff like continues, and I feel like we should speed up where if it's going to go somewhere, like, does he kick people out, or just, is this like the Don Callis family where we just keep getting new members and that's it. But I would say maybe out of all the big matches, I wouldn't even say I was disappointed. I actually was really still into this, but like I kind of said, maybe the violence, I'm almost normalized to it. Like, we were there in Texas, and like the fork started the match, whereas this one, it was bloody and everything. I didn't not like it, but I wouldn't say it was on the higher end of the show for me.
Then we went to our women's championship match, 4-way. Timeless Toni Storm defending against Jamie Hayter, Tekla, and Chris Statlander, with a bit of a surprise here. Statlander winning pretty clean, and correct me if I'm wrong, she did pin the champ here in Toni Storm
with the seatbelt.
Yes.
Shout out Wheeler Yuta, right? Who just came out. We were wondering, why is he just stood there? And she's like, fuck off. And then he did. And then she used his move to win. So very interesting there.
I did have at the presser, because they were talking. Statlander was talking about Yuta, and I was going to ask, like, okay, you're kind of shitting on Yuta here, but you used his seatbelt finish for the win. What's that all about? Could we, like, should we take something from that? And unfortunately, Tony Khan really wanted to make clear that she used the seatbelt and said, and like basically brought it up. So it's like, well, that's my question gone. Yeah, it was interesting on the collision portion of Dynamite this week with Tony coming out and kind of being like, if this is my last time with the title, like, it's been a great time, and almost like cutting her losing promo before the match. I wonder if she's taking some time off after this. I think Statlander is the right choice. There's a built-in story there with Willow. She's obviously flirting with the Death Riders and everything going on there. For me, it was, if you were going to have a title change, it was probably between her and Tekla, who I think's getting some momentum as well.
Yeah, a lot.
But I think Tony's done about everything there is to do. She's faced everyone there is to face at this point. And I'm glad it wasn't dropped by someone else in the match getting pinned. She still put over the new champion. She was pinned fair and square. And yeah, this just shakes up the division a bit with Statlander moving forward.
Super thrilled about Statlander. You know, we go way back. Aliens. We both love them. We both are them. I think it's great that she's won. Is she the first person to be both TBS and Women's World Champion? I think that's what they made a point about saying when she won that. So pretty cool for her. She's been in AEW like day one. It seems like if you go all the way back, Best Friends, and again, the Alien and everything, obviously having so many injuries set her back, but I've always been a huge fan. I thought the last year, the stuff with Willow was fantastic. So obviously you could go back towards that stuff. Like, she does kind of make sense as a heel. I always liked when she was the bubbly alien, but she's kind of scary. She's kind of gangster. So like, I kind of like when she leans into that. So I think you could do Tony versus Stat one-on-one at the next pay-per-view and have her beat Tony and really like send Tony away for a little bit and then go forward where we go next. I think this match could have went. I think maybe we didn't expect Statlander, because like Tech, like you said, has had this great, real quick rise, becoming a really prominent character, and love watching her wrestle and that spider walk and everything. But Jamie, the history there with how like she beat Tony and all that. So I thought this was a really fun match, but I was genuinely shocked and surprised at Stat winning, and I'm excited going forward because I know she can be a real champion. I love her. So
we've also got the Harley Cameron story moving forward as well, with them being best friends and Willow warning Harley about Chris. So I think you've opened the door to lots of different challenges and possibilities and character turns and that kind of thing with making Chris the champion.
Yeah, no, for sure.
We then move on to the AEW World Tag Team Championship 4-way ladder match. Brodito defending against the Young Bucks, Jet Speed, and Josh Alexander and Hechicero. Was cool seeing Josh Alexander getting his moment in the Scotiabank.
Yes. Speedball too.
Speedball
and Josh Alexander. I've watched wrestle in gymnasiums and community centers for like 10 years plus. Josh, obviously Ontario based, being in so many Toronto or Ontario indie shows and sometimes wrestling in front of 50 people through the years. So to finally have his moment here at the Scotiabank was awesome. But the same for Speedball. I know he's from Quebec, but he wrestles so much in the Ontario scene here, and think he was landlocked here in Canada for a while wrestling. So he was the guy here in Canada, and to see him get a huge moment like this arena in Toronto, in our country of Canada, must have been very special for both Josh and Speedball. So shout out to those two guys. And holy shit, did anyone else need a smoke after this match? Because this was mental. I mean, look what it says on the tin. Look at this. Look at these 4 teams of just psychopaths, and now it's a ladder match. This was crazy. I actually can't wait to go back. We were there live, and we haven't had time to go back and like watch the broadcast, but a few matches from this show come to mind. I think I need to rewatch this one of just how crazy some of these spots. I know at one point me and you jumped out of our seats with our hands on each other's shoulders when was it Brody King hits a Rikishi driver through a ladder on Speedball or something.
We had that. We had almost like the Jay Lethal MSG moment where a ladder just got thrown into the crowd, which was terrifying.
Very scary.
They don't pull out the tall ladder in this match. All the ladders were the same height.
Right.
And there's these tables set, and maybe you don't quite get the perspective on TV, but these tables are set ringside, but quite far away from the ring. And normally you go, well, that's the tall ladder spot because it goes further. We're watching and we're going, who's going through that? Like, how are they going through that? And seconds later, you have, I think it was Brody King and was it Hechicero or Josh Alexander pick up the ladder while Kevin Knight's on it, move it across the ring whilst he's on it, tipping him to the outside. I'm like, okay, I guess you answered my question.
I think it was a bunch of us. Again, we're kind of sitting with a different bunch of media people in the wrestling world, and all of us during that spot were like, that is too far. That ladder's not big enough. And then as we're all discussing this, they literally carry Kevin Knight and throw him and we were like, okay, they proved us wrong. So yeah, these guys went out there, as do all wrestlers, always go out there and put their bodies on the line for our entertainment. But these 8 guys here, 8 guys, how many are in here? They went out and just went loco. I can't wait to rewatch this one. There was some the Young Bucks still got it, in my opinion. They never really fucking lost it, and the gimmick with them and being broke and then getting money again, and you as you say, the Del Boy and thing gimmick. I'm interested in, didn't know this would become one of my favorite things this year. But this tag team,
they've got to be broke by Wednesday. After, right?
They spent it all at the Niagara Falls casino or something. But yeah, this was absolutely mental. Just the spots that they come up with. I actually wanted to ask a question, but I got cut off in the presser of Brody King brought up Bandito did a moonsault with a ladder onto everyone, and Brody was like, I guess if you want to do that, do it, fuck it. And then he did it, and I was like, that was crazy. It's how do they come up with these nutso spots? Because I praised that 450 spot that they do a lot. But
he was basically saying where Brody would come up with an idea, and Bandito's like, okay, that's cool, but it needs to be crazier. What if we then did this? And Brody's like, is it possible? Can we do that? You know what? I love that they're going pun the pun, but all in with these two. They're putting a lot of steam behind them now, and for a tag team that's not been together for too long, what I find interesting is, you look at Brody King. He's a scary looking motherfucker. Aesthetically, House of Black makes a lot of sense. Him and Aleister Black together makes a lot of sense. Probably listen to the same kind of music. But I didn't get this level of personality out of him then.
Agreed.
Now he's with Bandito. I think they've got just this. It seems you look at them at the presser, and it seems like it's a genuine relationship, genuine friendship between the two, where they're both bringing something out of the other guy. And I certainly felt in that presser, just Brody King just came across so, he reminds me of our friend Big Tom, just a lovable big giant who's a little bit of a softie despite the hard out exterior, And I think that's what's really clicking with this team, and I think that's what's really gonna propel Brody to bigger singles things. He was about the Continental Classic this year and stuff like that. And I do see singles gold for Brody down the line now, where I didn't necessarily before.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny you say that, because when he's been in those stables, those groups, he's just been kind of the big scary guy who barks. And now we're seeing he's actually a human being. And as we always know in wrestling, the best characters are the extensions of your true self. And he might be tatted up, big, scary motherfucker, but deep down, he's a solid dude. It's coming out that way. Finally, I'm finally seeing the person that we've seen him have cameos, and I Think You Should Leave, Tim Robinson and stuff. And we realize he seems like a pretty sick dude. And now he's with Bandito, who's had one hell of a fucking year. Cannot stress enough, if you've not watched the Takeshita match from All In Weekend, or the Hechicero match. ROH have uploaded for free on their YouTubes. He's had one hell of a year on top of that, being in match like this, being tag champion. So yeah, really love these two as a team. Really love this match. Up there from one of my, just this hit like the way those old school chaotic ladder matches. The one funny thing is they probably wrestled for like 10 minutes without anyone actually going to grab the title, until finally it was like, all right. They play the ladder match like how we play when we played in the video games. But
you got to weaken the other people.
Exactly.
First. Yeah,
exactly. But like one of my favorite ladder matches in recent memory was this one for sure, in quite a while, but loved it.
And then we had the main event, Hangman Adam Page versus Kyle Fletcher. I think this match went, what did it go in the end? 38 minutes, 10 seconds. Wow. I did mention there was a bit of almost fear from some of this crowd that they were going to go long. I did think it was paced quite slow, like the first 10 minutes, which with a show that length, I do think it brought it down a bit. But when they got going, I really got into this.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't necessarily bite on any Kyle Fletcher moments as much as I thought I would. In the kind of preview show, I was like, they might be able to, pull off a bit of a shock here. And if you're going to make a guy, that's the way to do it. But I felt as the match went on, it was pretty safe that Hangman was going to win this. But still, like the stuff these guys do, they're crazy. They're hitting dead eyes through tables and apron spots and brainbuster spots. Like, I think Fletcher will be a champion one day. And I think it will be sooner rather than later.
Oh, absolutely. I really love this match. Going almost 40 minutes. That is a long match. The pacing was a bit slow. And as I kind of mentioned off the top, the crowd were so tired. This is already going into 4+ hours. This is already at like 4:20. Great number to be at. But just, you're already really, really tired. Everyone's been there some people have been there for 5, if you count the people who watched the pre-show. So people were getting tired. And then another thing to notice from being there live, I don't know how it came across, but in the early few minutes of the match, you could hear the crowd chanting, "Turn the lights off." And we keep hearing these things at different shows, not just AEW, but a lot of WWE shows, where they do something with the lights that must fuck with some people's vision in certain sections. Where
they want to light up the crowd. This is the biggest AEW crowd they've had for quite a few weeks, and they want to light that up and show the people there. But unfortunately, it's people that have spent a lot of money have a great big fucking light in their eyes.
Yeah, it can be annoying. Like, so the lighting looked good. At least it didn't go in our eyes, but we could hear the reaction and people being like, "Oh, I can't see." So like, on top of being a little tired or worn out by hour 5 or whatever, and then all of a sudden these lights that weren't in your face the whole show now are in your face. I think maybe they could look into it. I was noticing some of the ring crew people, like, it was being talked about. I think people were talking to Justin Roberts, who was then running around, and then you could see the lights were changing, and then the crowd would chant, and then other people would be like, "No, wait, now it's in our eyes. Turn this off." So
it was weird though, because there wasn't, like, this was a long show, and there wasn't a problem with this until the very last match, which was strange. And I actually thought once they did actually turn off like the house lights, if you will, it made it feel more special, because it felt like the main event. Now you've got the serious lighting where it's just the ring is being lit and it's the focus on that.
But yeah, this match was lit. This match was great. I mean, Kyle has had one hell of a year, and I think he totally more than delivered in a match against the world champion in a way that had some people, even in the moment, there was some kickouts and some crazy stuff, the brain busters and all that, but they really had chemistry with each other. They were like, one step ahead each other in the right spot at the right time at like all through the match. And going 40 minutes is no easy feat, I'm sure. So hats off to both these guys. One of the best matches on the show. I can't tell if this was my favorite one. I know we met up with a bunch of friends later in the night, and the consensus was everyone was saying they loved this match the most. And then I was saying the triple threat, and you were saying the tag. So everyone kind of does have their own thing, but I'm seeing some praise for this match, and I do have to watch it back on TV. But yeah, it did deliver for me. Hangman is the guy. He has good matches with everyone. I know Kyle being champ going into Wembley versus a returning Will would be an awesome story, but I just didn't think, what was the story? He's not ready yet. And I think that's the great story, that he's not. But You had him kicking out of buckshots and huge moves. And then what was it? Like a avalanche deadeye followed by the biggest buckshot ever. So it was like a super finisher combo for Hangman to put him down. So really got into this. I love that they teased you with the Don Callis TNT title stuff, this and that, yada, yada. And then in the end did not go to that whatsoever and just had a wrestling match. So yeah, this one will probably be talked about. I'm sure a lot of people really got into this one. Delivered for me.
We did skip over one big moment on the show as well.
What's that? Oh,
the return of Jungle Boy.
Of course. How could we forget? Yes. I mean, we had the Young Bucks after the match. Jack Perry comes out, flips them off, beats them up, and then somehow gets beat up by the Young Bucks. I don't know how that happened. Jack, you return only for the guys who just got beat up in a ladder match to then beat you up. And then he calls out his friend. I mean, what's a boy without his dinosaur? And the crowd signaling, me being one of them. I've been calling it for weeks. Just fuck it. Bring back his dinosaur. Bring back the best wrestling song of all time. Bring back Tarzan Boy. Jurassic Express reunited in Toronto.
Yeah.
Very nice. You love to see it. You know, why not go back to these guys?
I think so. I mean, it's 2 years now since All In Wembley, Brawl In, if you will. And Perry's had a rough time since then. You know, he was suspended. He disappeared for a few months. He showed up in New Japan, came back with the scapegoat gimmick, gave him a TNT title run. They even gave him a world championship shot.
Yeah.
And it wasn't connecting. You still got the sense like a lot of the crowd maybe had some animosity towards him because of the whole situation with Punk. There was so many loose ends with him and the Elite, you know, the stuff with Kenny, and then Kenny comes back and just completely brushes past anything that happened with Jack Perry. And then Perry was AWOL again. Like, he completely disappeared. I almost feel like, I don't know, I got the sense where it's not just from maybe Tony Khan, but maybe from the audience, him coming back, Baltimore playing and all that.
Yeah.
It's almost like, your punishment has been served. You're forgiven now. Let's just have you back in the role we love you as. And that's Jungle Boy, the dinosaur's little friend. We can all sing your song and wave our arms around. And hopefully it's a bit of a clean slate. And I actually think this is good for Luchasaurus as well, who it's been a bit of a weird return for him with that little Christian Kip Sabian feud they had going. So this is a reset I can completely get behind.
Yeah, me too. I know we can just kind of forget some of this stuff. It didn't work when, like, it was last year, right? It was Jungle Boy versus Danielson, but he's a good wrestler, but something is definitely something, whether it's like the charisma or the mic work, character, something. Jurassic Express was a day one AEW character tag team, and it worked, and people like it. And what was even great was that like you and me in this crowd, we started doing the song, The Wave, almost like they knew we were going to do it. It's almost like Tony knew, like, all right, this is going to set up perfectly. And later in the press conference, he admits, like, I just took a chance that hopefully the people would start doing that wave or the Baltimore, and it did work. And I do love that song so much. So,
and it means we'll get the return of Taz singing as well, which is
true. Yes.
Which is great.
Even better for future Botchamania episodes.
And I'm curious what's Bryan Danielson's thoughts on this song, because I feel, you know, he loves Final Countdown, so I feel he's got a pretty cheesy taste in music. So I can see Danielson getting on board with this on commentary.
Probably loves
as well.
He loves wrestlers fighting animals. So dinosaur being back, I'm sure he's okay with.
So like overall, I'd say, like, for me, it was, you know, we commented it was a long show, but I thought the pacing for the most part was pretty good. It didn't feel quite as long as it actually was. I wouldn't say there was necessarily a bad match on the show, but this didn't reach that level of top tier AEW for me, and that's because the bar is so high.
Yeah.
I don't think there was a match on this show that I'd necessarily be thinking about when putting my list together at the end of the year, but that again doesn't mean it's a bad show. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I just think they've had some really, really top shows since the inception of this company. And
Yep.
I wouldn't put this in that list, but thoroughly enjoyable time as well.
You know what? I do agree. I don't want to make that a negative thing. I think this was a knockout for AEW in Toronto. Like the crowd want to be there. The people are invested. The energy is definitely infectious. And, you know, we've been to them this year at a stadium. We've been to them in smaller venues. We've seen them in smaller venues, and having them here at the ACC, the Scotiabank, it was good to see. And hopefully they do come back with another pay-per-view like within a year. You know, they keep going back to the same places for certain shows, like Newark keeps getting Full Gear and this and that. But I would like to have a yearly pay-per-view in Toronto. Like we saw a lot of people travel in for this. September is still a pretty good time for Toronto. You saw people getting into it in the city. We had just down the street Smash Wrestling, and then today Mystery Wrestling doing 2 shows. Obviously they had to move their things around with the 3 p.m. start time and everything, but you know, and then like we did an event. There wasn't really a whole lot of other events going on around like the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but those enough. Like you had the wrestling fans taking over like the downtown, and it was really cool to see. But yeah,
I wonder, like, and I don't want to get into politics and stuff here, but I was surprised with the amount of like UK fans, and I think I met a couple of Germans as well, and I was surprised by the amount of traveling fans from further than just, you know, just across the pond, like your Buffalo or Detroit or whatever like that. And I wonder how much is to do with a lot of the stuff going on in the States right now, and people being like, want to go to an AEW show, you know, let's give Canada a go. I'd rather go and support Canada right now than I don't know if that plays any part of it, but I was surprised, and I haven't noticed, say at like Forbidden Door, I didn't notice as many Brits over here as I did this time round.
You know, I remember there being a lot of people traveling in. Forbidden Door a few years ago felt more rabid. I'd say that was still a better show than this All Out show. But again, not knocking. I give this show 2 thumbs up. But being spoiled and going to a lot of epic AEW shows over the last, like, I don't know if this one ranks as my all-time favorite, but the city of Toronto were here and they put on a really good show. I think people will be talking about Hangman and Fletcher, or that 3-way and the ladder match definitely are going to stick out in my brain from attending this one live. And I think I got to rewatch them on like the broadcast version. But I think it's also, hey, do you want to travel to Las Vegas and pay an arm and a leg just to have a working refrigerator in my hotel room? Or do you want to go to Saudi next year for WrestleMania? No? Okay. Do you want to fly to some random city for some random B or C level WWE PLE that will cost you way too much money for the price of a flight?
This time of year, September time, you know, everyone's back at school and work and that kind of thing. Flights Toronto to like London to Toronto and back isn't too much this time of year, at least when I've looked in the past.
Like, so to go to WWE is expensive. Just to go by yourself, to go with a solo ticket might be the cheapest valuable option because there's always random floating tickets around and this and that. But to go with friends or family, like to go to a WWE, not just a Raw or SmackDown, but a PLE in 2025, you hear TKO talking about it. They're not ashamed to say we're gouging our fans and fucking them over. And maybe people are like, actually, for the price of a ticket, I could go to a completely different city and get a flight and a hotel for the price of what I would pay. And the ticket won't even be that bad for an AEW show. And we've traveled a lot for AEW shows and we've traveled a lot for WWE shows. And we're always feeling like we get our money's worth when it's the AEW weekends, for sure.
Yeah, I think this is a real opportunity in the next year with WWE being so blatant about, you know, they don't care about families.
They don't care about
shows. They care about profit. With the, you know, now you have to have your ESPN app and pay for the pay-per-views in certain cases and all that. Like all these different ways, how expensive it's getting. You know, they've dropped the house shows. This is the first year we're not going to be getting the like Christmas MSG show. We used to have the tour come to Toronto, the house shows around Christmas time. Like they've done away with so many of those house shows, which used to be where families could afford to see the product and things like that. Now, we were lucky enough to attend the presser after, and Tony was speaking glowingly about London, Ontario, which was a great crowd on Wednesday. We went to the Collision there a year ago, a Collision, and we went to this bar right before it started. It was about 7:15. Collision starts at 8, and the bar was empty. And the bartender's like, boys, what are you doing? You're missing the show. We're like, oh, it starts at 8. And we realized everyone was in their seats for Ring of Honor. Mm-hmm. Now, that's not normally the case, but people were so
dedicated
to see this show and so dedicated. And I think that's what you're going to get from cities like a London. You know, it's a perfect size arena for AEW where it's going to sound loud. You're going to get diehard fans going who are just into everything and just kind of happy for things to be coming to their city. And I think it was eye-opening. Tony Khan was saying in the presser about, I was telling all my talent, like, hey, this crowd's going to be really good. This crowd's going to be really good. And it was. So I think you're going to see, you know, he's moved away from Chicago now for All Out. He's moving things around to different places. I think their strategy should absolutely be focusing on families, upping their marketing, you know, having people on local radio and local morning breakfast TV and that kind of stuff, getting people out there a bit more to advertise and go to some of these more underserved parts. Like New Orleans makes all the sense in the world, right?
Yes.
That being dicked around by, it seems like 2 years in a row, being promised a Mania. Okay, it's actually going to be Vegas this year. Not outright said, but kind of hinted, you'll probably get it next year. And then Saudi getting it. And who knows, it could be the permanent home now, Saudi Arabia or Las Vegas or whatever. Like, I feel that's a market you could go to. It's a destination that certainly from WrestleManias and stuff, people want to travel to. Like, it's been on our list. Like, it's been on your list to go to for a long time. It's been on my list to go back to for a long time. And we're just trying to find the right excuse to go. And I think doing those kind of markets, exploring a bit, you know, you're going to get a big crowd in the UK. They're doing some of these other shows around the UK this time. Could possibly do a bit of a longer tour, do a show in Germany or something like that as well. I think that's going to continue the momentum. And as much as WWE are pricing out fans, people still want to see live wrestling. And they might go, I don't really watch this product, but I know some of the names and it's only $40 a ticket, or I can take my family for under $150, under the cost of one ticket, you know, for WWE. They're going to start growing fans that way, I think.
Absolutely. Something I've said for a long time is they have to do more promotion. And you know, that's people's jobs, is to figure out markets and figure out where to go. And I think if you do a pay-per-view in a big city like Toronto, being the biggest city in Canada, and then London is about a 2-hour drive from Toronto, doing a like Collision or a Dynamite leading up to the pay-per-view or after the pay-per-view that's in the bigger city is smart, because now you have those same people who are like, actually, I'm going to probably make that drive to the bigger city for the bigger show. And even if you don't, well, actually, I don't really go to Toronto that often, but I get to go to Dynamite, get to see some cool stuff on that show. And I mean, they made it an awesome September to remember, pardon the pun. So like, I think it worked out, and I think London will definitely get another show. But like you said, when they go to other countries and stuff, like, doing that promotion this time around, I noticed they sent Cope out to all the places to do interviews with radio stations, TSN, the radio stations just outside of the Toronto market, to get those other people to, hey, come into the city this weekend for a 3 p.m. wrestling show, which sounds great to promote. So I think they did a whole lot of promotion. Obviously, it helped having a hometown boy with Cope and Christian and stuff, but I think they did a really good job of.
I think the merch game was better this time round. Cool. You know, you had those all out like Toronto like hockey jerseys and stuff like that. Like, it was a little better on the merch front this time round. Got a live comment here from my roommate Graham, who took a friend with him who's not a big wrestling fan, went to SummerSlam with us a few years ago. But he said that he was impressed and happy to see how AEW wasn't as corporate as WWE, and it shows they don't just care about the dollars.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's totally like, I remember, was it my brother went to full Forbidden Door in Toronto. He didn't really know anything about it, and he was like, oh my God. And then same time around this way, where some friends took other friends to the show just because it's like, I can even buy my friend the ticket because it's $40 or whatever. Like, if my friend doesn't like wrestling, then I'll buy your ticket and hopefully you have a good time, buy me a beer or whatever. But like majority of people would be like, hey, this wasn't even WWE. This was something else. This was way cooler. I didn't sit there for 3 hours of commercials and this and that. Like, at least there's action, right? Like, it's almost like, hey, come to this music festival. You're going to know some of these bands and some of these songs, but trust me, some of these other acts are probably what you're going to be remembering. And that's exactly.
And it's often infectious, right? Like, if you go to see something and like, say you're there when everyone's singing Jungle Boy's theme and you don't know who this guy is, but everyone around you is doing their arms and singing along. It's like, all right, this is fun. I'll join in. And it is infectious. And I think that the audience is such a huge part of it. And the more you price out these people, you're going to lose some of that for sure.
Well, I got to give 2 thumbs up for All Out in Toronto. After that, we did get to go to, we were graciously invited to the post presser in the Scotiabank Arena, walking the halls of the Toronto Maple Leafs. That was pretty cool. We got to sit down and go through Tony Khan and Renee, and then some of the winners of the night. And we even got to ask some questions.
Yeah, let's, while we're kind of on the subject of Toronto and different markets you could run, let's hear the question you asked, Tony Khan.
Hey, Tony. Braden Herrington here from Poisonrana. Want to say great show here. Got to shout out the real London, Ontario again. I want to circle back. That's great. Canadian fans seem to love AEW, and after another great pay-per-view tonight, can the fans expect another pay-per-view possibly in the greater Toronto area?
Absolutely.
Possibly the Sky Dome one day, maybe? Yeah, I said Sky Dome.
Are you referring to the Rogers Center?
What? Tony, no.
Well, my good friends at Rogers would.
They would understand.
But that being said, yeah, that's another great historic venue. I'm really proud to be here in Scotiabank Arena. I'm very proud that we made history here again, that it's our most tickets we've ever sold in Canada, another $1 million gate here. It's real history we've made in Scotiabank. You can bet there's definitely going to be another pay-per-view in Toronto, and I'm quite confident we'll do another pay-per-view here in Scotiabank. There are great venues in Toronto, and like you said, that one of them absolutely is Rogers Center. There are some great places here. We've had great history. Renee arrived in the Coca-Cola Coliseum 3 years ago. Okay. And then we've scaled up. We had Forbidden Door here. And then we had now All Out, our most successful All Out in history, the 7th edition of All Out, the most tickets we've ever sold. We hit all these great milestones here in Toronto. 100% we'll do another pay-per-view here in Toronto. And I also think there are other great cities in Canada that could be great potential pay-per-view homes. Thank you for asking. This support we've gotten here in Canada is first class.
I mean, great. I mean, what I got from that is somewhere else in Canada, you guys are getting a show soon. Maybe Vancouver. You know, they haven't got a pay-per-view yet. Montreal, another hotbed, big city.
They're both. I mean, I was just out east this week, and I can't think of any wrestling ever going through, you know, your Halifaxes of the world or whatever.
Usually
I don't know
shows.
If it's like there's certainly areas to target. I think Vancouver and Montreal would make a whole lot of sense to do. And it does seem he kind of sounded like in that answer he was like, it will be a yearly thing that we're in Canada, like running, and not just a Dynamite but a pay-per-view as well.
Selfishly, as a fan, I really want another pay-per-view. Like, already it happened yesterday, and I'm like, okay, when are you announcing the next one? Like, announce it in as far as you can so that it gives people the opportunity to plan ahead, because now we've seen firsthand there was a lot of people traveling into our great city. So super cool that I got to ask him that. But I know I was poking the bear a little bit with the Sky Dome reference. I think one day it's possible, but I as a fan, I don't know if it's necessarily in the near futures. And he was quick to brush that off, being like, yeah, we love the Scotiabank, and we do too. So
I think if you were going to run the Dome, I think you'd try and do it. You do it 2027, right? You do it as a make good for no WrestleMania, and I think you talk to your Brett Lauderdales of GCW and all these other indie feds and stuff to be like,
they're not doing Saudi. They're not doing death matches in Saudi.
But it's like they pick a city and they're like, we're all doing this city this weekend. and you can piggyback of us. We can piggyback off of you, and let's make this our WrestleMania weekend, our Revolution weekend, or whatever it is. I think that's the way you can sell tickets for the Dome. But Scotia is a great venue. It's a big venue. It sounds great. It looks full.
As a fan, I can't wait for them to come back to Scotia. Like I hope we get a pay-per-view next year announced soon. Like he's pretty quick to be like, hey, we're just coming back for Full Gear, or hey, we're coming back. Like bring All Out next year to here, because he said it's the biggest gate for All Out. It's because they have only done All Out in that now arena, which is really tiny, the home of All In that we've been to. So it's like, yeah, this is a way bigger venue, and Canada is one of the cities and crowds that show up. So I hope this is a yearly thing, not just saying All Out is, but wouldn't be mad if next year is back here. It looks like he likes doing the like back-to-back kind of things with Full Gear and et cetera, but really would be excited for Toronto to get more of AEW. And I imagine the next time we'll see more like Smash, Mystery Wrestling, maybe GCW. Like we'll see even more stuff happening in the city while all the wrestling is here. But to stay on the topic of like, while WrestleMania's in Saudi in 2027, like he's already kind of answered some questions. I did want to ask him more, but that's where you would do NOLA. Like that in 2027, that is when you do All In. Maybe earlier he's mentioning Revolution because it's in that time frame, but like do some huge show where instead of all these people traveling to, Saudi for WrestleMania, they won't. And instead they'll go to somewhere in North America. And I think New Orleans in 2027 would probably be your best bet to get the most people in there for a weekend of some great wrestling. That isn't the big corporate WWE machine there. But yeah, I do hope that is something that they're working on. And it kind of sounds like it's already in the works there. Not even next year, but like this year's as well, being Vegas. I think people are already over the Vegas thing. I know I am. So like, as long as WrestleMania is in Vegas and Saudi, like I will not be doing a WrestleMania weekend. And I think that's a lot of people. So your alternative has become your main supply. And it's been that way for AEW. They were killing it. I really loved the crowd last night. I love the show, and I want more in Toronto. But I would travel to shows. I would travel to Montreal, Vancouver for some pay-per-views. So we will see.
I was able to get a question in as well.
Hi, Tony. Davie Portman from Poisonrana. You recently changed the start time of this event to earlier in the day. You've got a lot of European fans. It's actually so much more convenient. It's like 8 p.m., 7 p.m. in the UK and the rest of Europe. Would you consider it as a permanent move moving forwards?
It's definitely something to think about, especially on Saturdays with the way the schedule works and what we're doing. I do think there's something to it. It'd be something to consider also on some of the Sundays. It's been tremendous for 3 straight pay-per-views. I think the point you're making is definitely something I've taken into consideration. All in Texas, that early start time and having that manageable start time in the UK, it made sense. Then we were in London at the O2 for Forbidden Door, and that did have that same kind of domestic here in North America, that kind of afternoon start time, like tonight's show. And that's the 3rd straight pay-per-view that's had an afternoon start time in the East Coast effectively, and the 3rd straight pay-per-view that's been on in prime time in the UK. And we've had great results, great buys from the UK. The TV ratings in the UK are through the roof. Absolutely. That's a huge consideration to us. So that is a big part of it. And I'm really glad you asked that, because that's absolutely one of the considerations we've thought about here. And whether it's Saturday or Sunday, it's definitely given me something to think about. Thank you.
Great question. Like, that's definitely something a lot of people maybe wanted him to talk about, because I know we go on shows, Davey, and say we are proud supporters of Sunday pay-per-views.
Oh yeah.
Sunday PLEs, because Sundays is the day where you can, you lounge. Some people work Saturdays. If you don't work Saturdays, you have plans, family, you're going out. But who wants to be inside on a Saturday just to watch more wrestling? Not us. But when you announce it's Saturday during the day, meaning you got time to pregame, you got time to tailgate, you got time to go out after and enjoy your evening, or go home because it's like 7 o'clock or whatever when the show ends. So I love the 3 p.m. start time actually for shows going forward, and I'm totally not against it. And after you ask him that, it sounds like he's not against it, because it does kind of work out. I think your perspective of like, hey, those UK fans are a big part of the fans now, and
Well, especially when it's pay-per-view, isn't it? It's not streaming. Yeah. It's not like, oh, you can just watch it on your Netflix whenever you like. We want our fans to spend $40 on this to watch it. And you're not like, you know, if I'm in the UK and I'm like, oh, I'm not staying up till 1 a.m. to watch this, I'll watch it the next day. Mm-hmm. Am I going to spend $40 the next day to watch it when I know I can just find it online elsewhere?
Exactly.
At that point. Whereas live in the moment, you don't want those buffering issues. You want to, you're happy to support the company, and you've got your friends over, and you're probably not having your friends over at 1 a.m. to watch a pay-per-view. You might at 7 p.m. to watch it, or 8 p.m.
And I know like some wrestling fans or sports fans, as we're learning from ESPN, as we'll get into some WWE talk in a second, but people watch sports. It's an all-day thing. Like football's on right now or whatever, right? Like isn't this all day you watch this stuff and everything, and then by the end of the day you're day drinking, you're like, oh, I can just go to bed and go to enjoy my morning and not feel like I've been awake or went to bed at 4 a.m. or whatever. So I do like these changes, and I think we should do some more of them in the future, not just to counteract the counteracting of WWE, but just like, hey, does this work for everyone? Like, do you guys mind this? I think this is what he's kind of wondering.
On that topic, though, with counter programming, I couldn't necessarily see WWE counter programming with a day show unless it's an NXT, and we've seen that doesn't work for WWE. Like, I don't know if they'd be willing to put unless it is an overseas event, would they want to put Survivor Series on at 3 p.m.? I don't to go head to head. I don't know. Yeah. Now looking on Ticketmaster, it seems that the current scheduled times for the next events, which they've got tickets on sale for Wrestle Dream, Full Gear, and World's End, which the pre-sale's happening right now. It seems like it's the regular evening time at the moment. Obviously, they're all still quite a way away. We had the announcement just 2 weeks ago that the time's changing here. So I am curious, and selfishly, I'd love it to be earlier in the day.
The one thing is you do got to let people know, because what if you have a flight and you land at 3 p.m. to go to the show, and then they tell you, hey, actually the show starts at 3 p.m.
Yeah.
That might annoy you, but maybe you would maybe plan ahead of not trying to get in that late there. But selfishly, we're going to Full Gear. I don't want them to move it to 3 p.m. because at 3 p.m. I plan on being at the Shrek water park and then GCW at the mall show again. So
I would rather be at the presser at 7 p.m. than
2 a.m. So, yeah. Those pressers go really long. Now I understand.
Now, we got some good questions in there. I thought I'm going to pat ourselves on the back, but you know, what I really wanted to know was, when is AEW Dark Elevation coming back?
You know, they shouldn't just let anyone into these pressers. Bless some of these people, but we're sitting there for what's pushing past 2 hours inside this presser, and people are asking the most. Like, I'm not saying what we asked maybe are not interesting to some people. I'm sure they might be, and we thought they would be pretty interesting to ask our questions. But some people were asking some mundane things, like things that have nothing to do with the show, things that no one really like cares about, and it's just like head scratching. Like, I was giving death stares to you, like.
What I noticed though was, this is the first time we've gone to one of these things, but I think we know like general like courtesy and respect.
Yeah.
Okay, Ricochet and GOA come out to start with, and I don't have anything to ask them. I can't. Maybe if I knew a little bit in advance, I might be able to come up with some interesting questions.
Hey Ricochet, how you call?
I can't think of anything other than, you know, your generic, how did it feel winning the match today, or something, which I'm not going to ask because it's a pointless question in my mind.
Yeah.
But, you know, someone might ask something, and something that might be said by them that then triggers a question in my head where I go, that's interesting. I'd like to know more about that. The amount of people in this room who look like 8-year-olds at school trying to get their hand noticed by the teacher. They're facing away from the presser that's going on in front to have their hand in the air, like stretching, turning around, looking the press guy in the eyes. He's like, I can fucking see you. Yeah. To then ask about when Nyla Rose is returning. It's like, dude, come on.
Sunk in my chair.
Have some respect. And it's clear at that point where you don't really care about the question. You're just wanting to get your voice heard. At least that's how I took it. And I just feel, and there were some of those people from big outlets as well who were acting that way. I found it quite surprising.
So if you're a fan of Poisonrana, please give us a follow, give us a subscribe, give us a like, retweet, listen to our shows and support. If you like what we hear and you want to hear us ask more questions that actually make sense, maybe we will continue to go to press conferences and shows and travel. And we can only do that with more support out of the people worldwide. So thank you to, and again, anyone we met this weekend in Toronto with the All Out tailgate, and anyone who's been supporting. We got to meet some listeners who've been listening to us from the beginning. And I super appreciate that. Some people came in wearing Poisonrana t-shirts at this event, and it goes a long way. I have worked in media for a long time, and sometimes I wonder, is wrestling media even a real thing? And after having great experience, like asking actual questions, and my great tag team partner, Davie, asking great questions, to see what are supposed to be called media and just piss me off a little bit there is like, come on. So if you want us to continue being wrestling, whatever media, give us a follow, and patreon.com/Poisonrana, $5 a month. You get access to all the other shows that we do. We're not news breakers. We are not journalists, but what we are people with level heads. All right. We call it as we see it. We have no one's paying us to
we got
say
no
this
stake in the game.
Yeah, we just do it for the love of the game. And the only reason we do podcasts is just to pop the boys in the first place and talk about wrestling, because we all don't necessarily have friends who like wrestling as much as we do. So thank you for our TED Talk, and appreciate all the love out there. And keep the questions to what actually makes sense.
And listen to other people. Listen to what's being said, I do want to apologize as well to anyone who I met this weekend for like the second, third, fourth time. And I'm like, hey, what's
nice
your
to
name?
meet you.
They're like, yeah, we met in Newark class year. I'm like, I'm sorry.
We meet a lot of people.
These days are often quite overwhelming, and there are certainly brain cells being destroyed during these weekends as well. So please don't take it personally, and please keep coming as well. We love you.
We did a little some giveaways. We did some raffles where we sell raffles and we give away some prizes. We gave away original DX Suck It jersey, plus we had a Jericho AEW figure, an MJF shirt, plus a Penta mask and a Rey Mysterio mask, and then tickets to Demand Lucha. So we had some great gifts. And then longtime listener Leo, who's come to some post wrestling events in the past, I know he flew in from Ottawa, and he won not only the DX jersey, but the Penta mask as well. So big time winner at our event there. So shout out again, longtime listeners and new listeners out there. We usually go live every Sunday here on Poisonrana, but again, we do so many other shows. We do Up Next for Post Wrestling every Tuesday and everything, but tons of different shows and content, and so many ways you can support Poisonrana.ca. Appreciate, and hopefully you'll hear us ask some more questions down the line. But appreciate the love, for real.
And thank you to everyone who donated prizes. Reckless Rob, we see you. Thank you so much. You're always great at donating prizes for our raffles. Thank you, Demand Lucha, as well, who always graciously give us a pair of tickets to one of the best wrestling shows in Toronto. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Looking forward to hopefully seeing some of you there this Thursday.
Yes.
But shall we shift gears a bit now?
Yes. Let's palooza all over the place.
So
secret of the palooza.
I watched this in a couple of shifts. I watched the first match when I got home last night, and then kind of watched the rest this morning. Tough shifting gears after going to see like a great live show. And I don't know, I'm going to make this analogy with WWE right now. You know, when there's a comedian you just don't like, you don't find funny, and then they come out and say a joke that maybe if another comedian you like said the same joke, you'd find it hysterical. But you get that like, I'm not going to find that funny because that's coming from you. That's what I feel with WWE right now. I am so put off by just so many things involving this company. It's politics, it's greed, it's corporateness. And, we're kicking up this new huge corporate deal with ESPN, and it felt at moments on this show, it felt very like the debut of Netflix, where it's just rich people wanking off other rich people. And
yeah,
so right away on this show, I'm like, oh, okay. And it makes it hard. There was some good wrestling on this show. I don't think it was a great show by any means. And I'd say that without the bias attached, but like, but yeah, like I found this hard to like shift from AEW to this WWE show this week.
Yeah, like WWE is not wrestling. I know in the video packages for this ESPN beginning intro with Triple H, he does say the word wrestling quite a few times. I was like, whoa, hey, you said the magic word. Aren't you not allowed to say that? You never say that word. But they are not afraid to say, we're not wrestling. We're not pro wrestling. We're a TV show that's about wrestling. Mm-hmm. We're what some would say is a parody of what pro wrestling is. Yes, Vince McMahon took wrestling away from bingo halls and carnivals and put it in Madison Square Garden is what they just love to tell us. And hey, WWE is on fire right now. No debate about it, but they're bringing in a lot of the casual fans or the fans that used to be, or the people who like it because their friends are like, oh, yo, Stone Cold, The Rock, John Cena. But I don't think they really know a lot of the other stuff. And when John Cena's gone, like, where are some of these people still gonna hang around? Hopefully. But I find their necessity to just continuously jerk themselves off and expect all of you to pay a lot more money for it is head scratching. We're in Canada. We have that Netflix deal. It is a sweet Netflix deal, meaning I can watch Raw and SmackDown if I'm fucking crazy enough to do every week. Part of my Netflix, NXT, part of my Netflix. All the PLEs are free if you buy Netflix. And I do, because I love those docs and I love Stranger Things. But I get WWE part of my Netflix. That is awesome. Hearing all this stuff for the US fans with this ESPN Plus and making it so difficult that they had R-Truth out there to explain it or try to explain it.
Why did they have the most confusing character? The character who is
satire
his character is the
jester.
Like, he's stupid, he gets everything wrong, he's a jester, and he's trying to explain this to me. And he's like, yeah, and if you have Comcast, you get your ESPN through this service, and then it's actually free. But if you've got this one, it's not free. But if you want to get the app, I'm like, what? Yeah. Please just send me to espn.com/WWE and you can take it from there. I don't know. Like, I found it, Truth made it even more confusing than it needed to be.
Yeah, I feel for the American fans. This is pretty expensive. Like, this is testing you. Hey, look, we're so popular right now that we're banking on you giving us more money. We're expecting that you'll just bow and bend at the knee and give us what we're asking, because it sounds like it's a lot more money than what it was. The shadows of $9.99 WWE Network, no more. Ashes that has become. Like, I wouldn't personally. I would probably stick to my watch on Twitter or watch on YouTube or watch wrestling in various means, because I don't think I love it enough to pay for it. I have no problem paying for my content if I go to a concert of a band I really like, movies or arts or whatever. I have no problem paying money for things that I think are worth my money, and WWE isn't worth that money right now.
Like, say you were in a pub and someone next to you kept on telling you, I'm a billionaire, I'm a billionaire, I'm a billionaire. I'm probably not buying you a drink because you can afford it.
Yeah.
So when your company is constantly telling me we're fucking rich, we're the richest we've ever been, we're making money, more money than ever, more money than is conceivable. Do you want to pay us $30 to watch this show? No, I don't want to give you
$30 on top of another not. Like 30. It's so bizarre. And I don't know if it matters of where you live in the States and this and that. Again, this doesn't really concern us because we're in Canada, but I am seeing the like blowback from this of like, if I was
all those blue states are having to pay, right? Is that how it's
I just find like, okay, WWE is big right now. The ESPN, like, are we one step closer to the mouse owning WWE or the Saudis owning WWE? But like ESPN in the Disney umbrella. Like, this is crazy. This is a big deal. And the video package they play is mixing the sports, and they're treating this like this huge thing. Like, we didn't get to actual wrestling at least to like 30 minutes into this this show with the whole intro and Triple H and the entrances and everything. So I get it. It's ESPN. This has been something everyone, as someone who's worked at ESPN Canada, at TSN, a lot of times you get laughed at when you talk about wrestling. People on air have had wrestling segments and interviews, and people kind of blow past it like, yeah, it's fucking wrestling. And in this video, it's like, hey, this might be scripted or this and that. And I thought it was pretty cool that they at least acknowledge the history of like sports, entertainment, Triple H saying sports is entertainment. I think that's pretty cool.
ESPN being a startup as well to when WWE started out.
Sure.
That kind of thing, right?
Absolutely. So like, I thought that was pretty cool. And I was like, all right, great. I didn't love this show, but there was some cool stuff on it. I'm just still under the like, you're a gross company. I don't care about your ties with sports and that. Like, you guys have been killing it this year, and they still love to just, I don't know. The more you give these people money, the more they rub your face and give you less quality.
We've got Big Tom in the chat saying WWE is quite boring these days. I feel after Mania 40, the creativeness and strong booking went out the window. I was in Indy last night, and the cheapest ticket for the high stands was $150 US. I think that's the thing from my fandom point of view. It's, you know, unfortunately, the world we're living in, a lot of the entertainment you enjoy probably has some shittiness behind it, right?
Okay.
Like it's like the sausage theory. It's like, I enjoy sausages, don't really want to see what's in it, don't really want to see how it's made. And I think there's a lot of people, you know, who have that opinion. They're like, I try and put that stuff behind to the side and just enjoy what I'm being presented, and that's fine. But when what you're being presented isn't very good. You know, we've had some huge blunders, like the John Cena. This should have been the biggest story of the year, John Cena's retirement tour. And with such a fumble with that heel turn and the lack of creativity coming out of it, the same thing on a lesser extent with the R-Truth character turn. And we have stuff like them playing off that Seth injury as the ruse of the century. It was dog shit. Like, it didn't make any sense at the end of it. Like, because, as I said in a review back then, like, he didn't actually use it to any advantage. He was just like, psych, I'm not injured, and now I'm going to take 3 minutes dancing to the ring. It's like, no, like, and you see on Unreal, it's like, we're focused on moments. Yeah, but moments mean so much more when you have a good narrative that leads to it, and it makes sense. And I think they have thrown a lot of that out the window. So when I'm not as creatively satisfied with what I'm watching, and I find everything else you're doing kind of gross, it just does really turn me off the company.
Absolutely. There's plenty of reasons. Even if you just watch WWE, you're not a sicko, you're not into the weeds, so to speak, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. Again, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who love this show. Maybe thought it was a home run. I don't know. I haven't really necessarily looked up other opinions on it at this time. But like, sure, WWE are really hot right now. I'm still noticing in friend groups or just in public, in normal day-to-day, I'm seeing WWE is brought up a whole lot more. I'm seeing t-shirts in public a whole lot more. I'm seeing it's in the pop culture zeitgeist. It feels as popular as ever. And in doing so, other wrestling things are popular, like your AEWs or your indie shows. Like, they get some big boost there because you want to take your friends to a WWE show, but you can't afford to. But trust me, you'll love it. Okay, instead of that, I'll take you to an indie show in the city for a fraction of that price, and you'll probably end up liking it even more. That's usually what you hear at indie shows. Oh, yep. I love these way more than going and sitting in the big arenas and this and that. And it's like, yeah, because it's that way. So I don't know. I definitely have not been feeling WWE for the past little while. I get the ick when I watch it, and I don't know if it's because of just a whole different series of things. And I try to put that aside. I totally try to. And then you said, even when you just let me enjoy the sausage, pause. You don't. And you're like, oh, wait a second. Has this expired? Oh, these sausages are really popular. These glizzies were really popular last year, and they're riding off the success and using the same.
I can taste the ground down bone in this one. Yeah,
it's disgusting. Yeah. So I'm going vegan and I'm watching something else. No, I haven't liked the creative what the thing about WWE this year is there's been pockets of some good stuff, especially the women. And I'd say that was probably the same with this show here today. But yeah, just I'm not even a Pat McAfee hater. I think he's pretty funny and pretty great. And what he's done with his everything is great. But like seeing them lean into the athletes and to the sports because it's ESPN and everything, I'm just like, all right, I actually like wrestling because it's not sports, if that makes sense. Like, there's the theater kids out there who are like, yeah, I like wrestling because it's my weird shit thing that like those sports people jocks don't like. So now they're really like trying to blend it in, and maybe that might sour some people. I guess your theater kids are watching AEW, let's be honest. But you know what I mean? Like, I think they're trying to cast the net of everyone, and they know everyone watches sports, or mostly everyone watches sports. So they're trying to really like do that. And I get it. It's ESPN and whatever, but this wasn't the show for me. Maybe watching AEW first and then today watching this definitely made me go, oh, I know I really like wrestling. Don't know if this is really wrestling, but I like wrestling.
Well, shall we start with the big match they put on to kick things off to try and counter-program AEW, and that was Brock Lesnar taking on John Cena. Brock's first match in 2 years. His first match since we saw him last at SummerSlam in Detroit. Taking on Cena. Cena coming out with all the kids. I did kind of enjoy that touch that they brought out all these kids and he's about to get murdered, and cutting to kids in the crowd showing how disappointed they were. I did find that kind of funny.
Just so funny considering like he's about a month ago he was a heel and was telling kids they suck, and then here he is, like, what a phony, this John Cena.
He apologized. It's okay.
No, he's a big fat phony coming out here. That's like me being like, fuck them kids, bro, and then like, nah, I'm just joking, here's me with all these kids. It's like, no, what are you? Anyways,
but it was pretty much very reminiscent of SummerSlam back in 2014 with Brock just steamrolling Cena. I think he delivered, 6 or 7 F5s, including some after the match, and just beating Cena in very convincing fashion. Brock looked bigger than he's ever looked before, I thought here. He looked crazy scary. I'm not surprised. I thought this was probably what it was going to be. It was very reminiscent of SummerSlam. I wouldn't even personally say it was bad because it just did the job it needed to do. But I think this is probably Cena's last match. Right now, it's his redemption story to trying to beat Brock. What do you think?
Yeah, I see why they did this. Like, first ESPN match featuring WWE is Brock and John Cena. Like, that's a stat there that'll go down for sure. And it's cool because Brock has done the UFC and then they showed the video clips of that. But this match was very similar to that SummerSlam. Like, it's just really him. There was a few hope spots. Maybe it was better than I thought it was going to be, but I'm not saying this was good by any means. I was pretty bored by it, but it was better than maybe what I thought. With some of the hope spots and the crowd and the kids and stuff, it added to it for sure. But yeah, if this is leading towards the rematch for Saturday night's main event being Cena's final last match, I guess it doesn't necessarily, they fumbled this so bad that I don't even care. Really, if you give me AJ or Brock, I don't care. I kind of just want it to be over with, to be honest. So this didn't do a whole lot for me. What I did get some entertainment out of was definitely the shots of the children crying in the crowd. So that was a plus.
Also, we had Heyman teamed up with Lesnar once again.
Yes. So does Brock stay around and we go back to him and, I don't know, Cody or something down the line? Like, we're going to continue to use Brock, I imagine.
Yeah, I can't see this being a one and done job. I can't see Brock just killing Cena this way and then going on to other things and Cena moving on to other things. Whether this is the last match and they build up to that, or whether Cena gets his win back in the next one, I do see these two tying up one more time. Maybe do it as an Extreme Rules match. This was very reminiscent of the SummerSlam match. Maybe you do an Extreme Rules that's very reminiscent of the Extreme Rules match they had back in 2011?
Yeah, that one was their best encounter, I'd say.
Yeah.
That one where Brock came back, where it was backwards booking, where it was Cena beating him.
Yeah.
And then like years later, they're like, no, Brock's going to crush him. So it was kind of weird that they did that. But yeah, I guess it's Brock and Cena as the last match. Like they have the history there. Shout out the Ruthless Aggression era, but can't say it necessarily does anything for me. I will admit Brock did look the biggest he's ever, like he is a gorilla. He is a grizzly bear. There, it's all that meat he's eating up in the wilderness of Canada. Yeah. But I'm not that excited about the rematch, and I hate to say it, I just kind of want this retirement tour to end. Like, okay, cool, I'm done with this chapter. Can we move on to some other stories? And this one wasn't for me.
Slim Sieber in the chat makes a good point about moments versus storytelling and says, look at Sammy turning on Roman. Yes, it was a moment, but it was the story and build-up that led to it that made it so gripping because people were emotionally invested. That's missing today.
Right. Yeah. Well, it needs to have merit to it. It needs to have follow-up to it. It needs to have,
we go on to our next match. The Usos teaming up for the first time in 2 years, taking on the Vision, the Bronnies, Bronson Reed, and Bron Breakker, with LA Knight added as the special guest referee.
Was this the EMF match or something? Our friend Graham kept talking my ear off about some sort of EMF sponsored match, and then I just decided to walk away and went home because I couldn't understand or care about what he was talking about, but I don't know
what is EMF?
I don't know. I thought it was emergency like task force or something. That would be something else, but I have no idea. I guess I'm completely wrong. I don't know if this was a sponsored thing, but he was telling me about phone radar, and I actually don't know if he was even speaking true sense to me. But the Bronnies versus the Usos here in a match I didn't really care to see. I mentioned I didn't think there should have been that trios match on the pay-per-view for All Out. I don't know if this, I know the act of bronze you're trying to get over, but can't really see the excitement in this one.
I like both Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker, and I get why they're putting a lot behind them. I just felt they're trying to put over that this is a big deal. The Usos teaming up for the first time in 2 years in a tag match. We've seen these guys together, like on War Games just last November. We've seen them in situations like where they've been teaming. I think didn't they have a 6-man with Roman involved as well? I think.
Probably.
But it doesn't feel like this long-awaited reunion of the Usos because they've been in each other's orbit for most of those 2 years. So I didn't really get any like that nostalgia feeling of seeing the Usos team up together again. We've seen very similar matches to this on Raw as well. Like it wasn't bad. I think LA Knight is someone who's done a great job recently in maintaining being still over and a prominent character. And I actually think his wrestling stepping up as well. So I get the insertion of him, and I'm somewhat intrigued to see if they turn Jay full heel for a feud against LA Knight or not. But I didn't overly care about this. I think it was the right move, the Vision winning. You want to keep these guys like strong, but I didn't get particularly excited about it. And especially when it's a 5-match card, this didn't feel like those takeover 5-match cards, which really, if that's what you're presenting, all 5 should be an absolute banger. And it wasn't.
If I saw this was announced for a Monday Night Raw, I wouldn't watch it. So I didn't want to watch it on a PLE.
We move forward to Stephanie Vaquer taking on Io Sky. This was the match I know that had your attention the most when we did our preview show.
Yes, absolutely. This was the one for me on this card. Io Sky having one hell of a 2025, being one of the best wrestlers, full stop, in the world of not just WWE, just in wrestling. Of seeing her come up from just, previously in NXT, we knew from day one she was going to be a big star, but watching her back in stuff from Stardom and stuff from before, she's always had something. And for her to just be taking over the wrestling world has been awesome. And then the other side of the coin, Stephanie Vaquer, who's had a crazy year as well in such a short amount of time, has become such a huge star, like almost on the level of Io at this point, and maybe even further. And I know we got a taste of these two. Was it the Raw after Mania or something like that, where they fought just only months ago on Raw? And it was a great tester of like, hey, these two are some of the best wrestlers we got. And to see them here doing it again, yeah, easily the match of the show for me on this was these two. And my only critique is maybe it didn't go into like the next gear. Like I know they went like 20 minutes, but am I crazy to think like, there was maybe like a
I agree.
Finale there. Yeah.
It feels like I don't know, maybe we'll get this on a bigger stage, a WrestleMania stage, a SummerSlam stage, that kind of thing. This isn't the last time these two are going to tie it up.
I hope so.
And I feel there was still some, gas in the tank there. There was some more to be had with this.
So
this one. It was easily my match of the night.
Easily the match of the show for this show.
But I agree, there was still something more to be had. I was surprised we didn't get any Kabuki Warriors involvement at all with this. I thought that could maybe be something that happens. It was a clean win. Yeah, I think maybe coming out of this, you can have Asuka saying to Io, maybe if you weren't too busy making friends with Rhea, you'd have won this. You're out of focus or something like that. I can see that continuing. But that Phoenix splash for the win was
the corkscrew
floated. She the spiral tap, right?
Yeah.
Look, thing of beauty. We've seen her do it in NXT. I don't think she's done it on the main roster yet. Looked great.
Awesome match. I wouldn't say it got to the level of the triple threat WrestleMania match that we saw with Rhea and Bianca, but another banger from Io and Stephanie again, like inserting herself into becoming a huge star. But seeing both of them here kill it. The women again are stealing the show for WWE for me. This was the match on this show. I could have not watched this show and been fine, but this was definitely worth checking out. And I hope we get a rematch down the line, and I hope we get even more out of these two, because I believe they could kill each other even more than 20 minutes down the line. But that's just nitpicking there. But yeah, loved it.
On cage match as well, easily rated the highest match on this show with an 8.42 rating.
Yes, very nice. The Spanish Fly, the corkscrew at the end there too.
Yeah, the selling of Io's leg I thought was well told throughout it, with that nasty looking dragon screw, and then the missing the over the moonsault, just landing on her knees, really like making it even worse for her, leading to the finish.
Io's had one hell of a year. One of the best wrestlers this year for sure. The woman wrestler of the year is gonna be real tough for me by the end of the year, because for WWE she's the one for me. And then I was just in Japan, and I would see Io Sky stuff all over the place. Like actually, like I would see posters for her, and WWE, if anywhere had like WWE or wrestling stuff, they would if they had anything that was WWE, it would be her, which I thought was quite interesting too. Like, oh, they have Io stuff, because I guess they like to claim her right now. They're like, look at our girl. If it wasn't Io Sky, I saw Shohei Ohtani everywhere. So she's not quite at the Japanese Jesus level, but she's up there for being one of the biggest, wrestlers, full stop, not just men, women, just wrestler, full stop. I think that she's getting that praise this year quite a lot. So stealing the show yet again. Io Sky gets me high.
We then had the mixed tag match, Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins taking on CM Punk and the returning AJ Lee.
Yeah, I bet a lot of people were excited to see AJ Lee return, putting on the Chuck Taylors, the Converse, one more time. I was definitely excited for her to come back. I think she was in an era where she didn't have the right dance partners, and maybe was way ahead of her time and influenced so many of the women who are wrestling today, like your Ios or Stephanies and so many more. I got to watch her a lot in WOW Women of Wrestling over the last 2 years. She was like a producer and the commentator and stuff like that. And you could tell she was maybe getting that wrestling bug a little bit again, being like in the corner of all these women and supporting and trying to, push women's wrestling. And I don't think she looked out of place in this match. I think she looked really good. I had a lot of fun with this one. I couldn't even imagine how much fun it would be for CM Punk and AJ, a legit married couple, versus Rollins and Becky, a legit married couple. Like these four must have had possibly one of their like career highlights here. I would only imagine, because this wasn't a 5-star wrestling classic, but I think I had a lot of fun watching this with the teasing of AJ getting back in it and like how they're not letting her, of Becky beating up on Punk, and I don't know, the men fighting the women and all that stuff. It made it for a pretty entertaining match. I don't think we'll be talking about match of the year or anything like that, but it looked like a lot of fun for those involved. So I think it transparent on TV.
Yeah, I agree. I thought the heat building was a little bit too much. It's very WWE style. Like it kind of took me to those, Usos, Roman, Solo matches where just so much of it is isolation and heat building. And, there's a Michael Hayes in the back saying, oh, less is more, kids, less is more. But I was like, yeah, I get it. You're building up that anticipation to finally see AJ Lee. Just went on a little bit long for my liking.
The match went on really long. Actually.
Yeah, it was too long. But I thought towards the final stretch, as you said, the stuff with Punk and Becky going at it, especially with the counter of the sharpshooter that led to a stomp, that led to AJ hitting her own stomp on Seth. I thought that was great. I thought the assisted sliced bread looked really good and wasn't called on commentary, but hitting Seth's old finisher on Seth with the Seth Walker. Yeah. I thought that was cool. And I thought AJ looked good. I assume we'll get the singles match with Becky, and I think that will really be where we see what level she's at and what she is capable of doing in 2025 and onwards, right? But this, you can have the bells and whistles. You can kind of hide her a little bit in there whilst giving her enough to make her look impressive. Just too long for me, but still fun, and I am genuinely still pretty excited to see what AJ Lee can do moving forward.
So Wikipedia says this went 29 minutes, 18 seconds. Stephanie and Io went 2011, and the main event went 17-17. This was the longest match by a while on this show. I don't know if it necessarily needed that, but look, I didn't hate this whatsoever, but
across both shows, like the only match longer than this was the main event of All Out. Right.
Wow. Interesting. It was fine. It was fun. Again, I could imagine just the two couples. Like it was probably pretty fun for them to do, and it leads you into thinking, okay, if AJ's back, then we can go to AJ and Becky and Punk and Seth. That feud, I guess, will continue as well. They did announce what Cody versus Seth is happening in Perth. I think is something they said.
Oh, they've announced that. I missed that. Okay.
But that's like the crown jewel type thing or whatever, right? Something, I don't know.
Oh, right. Yes, of course. Yeah, it's crown jewels, so it's they face each other.
Yeah. So pretty fun match. I don't know where we go with Punk and trying to get him maybe in a solos feud, or do we go to another Seth match this early? I'm not quite sure, but I'm just kind of over watching them fight.
Yeah, me too. I still feel there's one match left in their story. Like having the blow off be a mixed tag, especially with AJ, I imagine will be challenging Becky down the line. I feel there's one more match in there, but I wouldn't mind a little deviation and a little break before we get there.
Yeah, I'm kind of over it. I don't know if I need to see Seth. Like Seth, he's not that interesting. I really wanted him to be the guy to win the match at WrestleMania, to team with Paul Heyman, and then once he did, I just hate it.
His character hasn't changed. That's the thing. His character has gone back to when he was a heel in this version of himself before. Like he really should have ditched the crazy fashion stuff this time round to like cement that.
Yeah, what was that about? Him and Becky in the purple, the Barney outfit.
Yeah, Becky's been great, but I agree, Seth. There's always just something missing. He is talented. I understand why he's at the position he is, but there's just something missing in all of his major runs in WWE.
I understand that he's great. Like he can be the measuring stick of this. Like for the past 10 years, he's had some great matches with some other great people and some great moments and this and that. But what I don't understand is what I always see clips of him in interviews being like, yeah, and I'm one of the greats and this and that. And it's like, well, I don't know, actually. I don't know. You're always.
Yeah, he said recently that there's only 20 people in wrestling with like decent promo ability or something like that. And it's like, yeah, you're not in that 20. Like,
or like people who put on 5-star matches, this and that, I can't stand it. It's like, yeah, that's what someone who does a solid 3 would say.
Yeah.
That's being a nerd. But like, he's always missing something. And I thought that WrestleMania, the Paul Heyman thing, like something, I don't know. So I was just expecting maybe it's the hair and the outfits could potentially be it, but you've teamed him with 2 bronze, Paul Heyman, and I still won't give you the time of day. I still can't be invested into this story arc, and even the Punk stuff, it's wearing a little thin. I think we need to change it up something there. But.
And then we had the main event of Drew McIntyre taking on Cody Rhodes for the undisputed whatever this title is, the Cody one, the main one. WWE
the real title.
The real title.
The other title's not even defended on this show, so it's not a real title. But yes, Drew McIntyre, Cody Rhodes, former tag team champions.
Oh.
Here. I was thinking, were they the Rhodes Scholars? And then I remembered, no, that's the other
Sandow.
guy. So what was their name? Just Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre?
McRhodes.
McRhodes? Sounds like something you order for breakfast at McDonald's. But yeah, main event.
Yeah, I was disappointed with this, to be honest. I like both guys, and I think McIntyre has been great, but I get why this was the main. I think it was important actually that this was the main event. This is your ESPN thing. Cody felt like such an afterthought on the Netflix debut. He should feel like the main guy. He should be main eventing. This is your main title, but McIntyre's been in this position so many times now where he does a good job building it. Like, he essentially built this whole story on his own because Rhodes was out filming. So a lot of the weeks was him doing the promos on his own and all that. I thought the match was fine. I didn't overly get into it. And I was questioning in the preview show, does it make sense to just give Drew the title for a few months, just give him that win and have Cody on the chase again? I don't know. This underwhelmed for me.
Absolutely agree. I think it was you that was hyping me up. Like, no, this is going to be good. Actually, Drew, it was your fault actually that I hated this.
Well, I think both guys, like we've seen, like they don't mind getting punched in the face. They don't mind punching other people in the face. And I didn't quite get that level.
They played it safe.
Both these have done before multiple times.
So maybe this feud continues. I'm not quite sure. Like, there was no reason for this not to have some sort of big fire and heat behind it, but it definitely didn't feel like that. I think both guys are capable of being the champion. Obviously, Cody is the champion, but like Drew, I'll say, you just look like the airport test thing. Look at Drew. He could be your champion in any way. Not only does he look like that and beat people up, but he also is a pretty slick talker. This heel run has been really good, and I think they've kind of fumbled it since the CM Punk thing. They've like, ooh, Punk won, so the shiny toy is Punk, and then you just kind of let this guy just kind of fizzle a little bit. When I think he even has joked on social media like, yo, well, they're not capitalizing on like I was the big part of that feud, and like now I'm just kind of cast aside. So here they are giving him a world title match in the main event, and I don't know, something's not necessarily correcting. I don't think it was a bad match by any means, but I was expecting something. I'm not expecting him to win. I was just expecting, I don't know, a bit more brutality, a bit more
of what we got between, Cody and Kevin Owens earlier in the year, where you're not necessarily buying Owens is winning, but they put on a hell of a show. And
is Cody not allowed to get beat up that badly for this Street Fighter tour or press or whatever? So maybe that's the case.
He's filmed it now, hasn't he?
Has he filmed everything? Is there a clause that he's not allowed to walk around black eyes or something? Like, I was disappointed with this match, definitely going into it, but I feel this way every time I watch WWE. In 2025, it's the women that I'm like, oh, that match was awesome, and everything else I'm like, I could have went on my week without watching that, and I'll forget about it. And that's really how I felt about this show. I really liked the EO Steph, and then I guess I liked CM Punk and AJ versus Becky and Seth. Only critique is could have been half the length, but those two were fun matches and fine, but everything else, I was like, this is what it makes me realize why I don't like watching this stuff. It's WWE. I mean, it just doesn't hit the way maybe it did. Someone in the chat said like over a year ago is when they felt like when they got back to being so popular, it was good. And then they've realized we're so good, we can just
they've given up on the stuff that was making it work.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's the problem.
Just coasting. Just like, and they're not going to stop because they're making even more fucking money because you keep giving them all this money. Look at the Jurassic Park movie that came out this year. All the reviews, you go ask anyone who saw this movie, they're like, yeah, it was another dinosaur killing people, chasing people action movie. Was it great? No, not really, but it made fucking $1 billion. So guess what? They're going to make 5 more. And you know what? You're going to go see it. Is basically that mentality. It's kind of how WWE is. Like, we don't really care about the story and where we're going. We care about the moments, but more importantly, we care about the money. So we follow the money and follow the moments, and everything else is just okay, I guess. But I didn't hate this show by any means, but I can't say it blew me away by any means.
I'd have enjoyed it more on a different day, you know.
Sure.
On a week on its own,
I don't know. I think
fine.
I watched it today though, so I was like fresh this morning. I made my coffee, got my breakfast. I was in a good mood. I was fine. If I watched it last night after watching AEW, I probably would have ripped this to shreds. Yeah, I probably would have hated it.
Right. Well, that's what we thought, guys. We're gonna wrap things up here. We're off back to the Scotiabank tonight. We're going to see Hans Zimmer, a bit of a palate cleanser. There, so super excited about that. But yes, Braden and I still need to discuss Patreon shows, etc. this week. But you know, we'll be dropping something for you in the Patreon feed. So check out the socials, and we'll be updating you with everything that's coming up in the next week on Poisonrana.
Absolutely.
But thank you for taking time out of your Sunday to join us today.
Yes, thank you so much. Whether you're watching us live or whether you're listening to the audio version, YouTube, again, give us a follow on the Insta, the Twitter, the YouTube. Give us a follow or a nice review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever you use. It goes a long way. Appreciate all the love. Whether you're new to us or been listening for years, appreciate the love wherever you are in this world. We do tons of other shows every Tuesday. We will be back this week on Post Wrestling, where we cover NXT. We are your NXT friends. We'll talk about some up next and everything going on. We will be back next Sunday to talk about all the fallout from All Out and from Wrestlepalooza and so much more. But if you want to hear more from us, patreon.com/Poisonrana. We did review Wrestlepalooza 97 from ECW just recently. You did a review of Best Match Ever, AJ Lee with our boy B Detroit, plus tons of other retro wrestling movie reviews and so much more. It's $5 a month to sign up to become a friend, where you get to connect it to your podcast app and all that fun stuff. So go check us out if you haven't already. And chop-tees.com/Poisonrana. Check out all the stuff. Appreciate all the love as always. And we will talk to you very, very soon. So that is it. That is all. Take care. Goodbye and be safe.
Ahoy!